All right, I just started the stream up here. Hopefully that worked. Just give me a second to share the link around, and we are going to talk MultiVersus today because this is the last day you can download the game, or this was the last update. A few things got data mined in that update, and this is the last day you can download the game until next year, sometime early 2024 when the game comes back. So that's where we're at with this one. Because it's shutting down for like a whole year, I'm going to talk about leak stuff today. I'm going to go over all the stuff I heard from MultiVersus, or nearly all the stuff I heard from MultiVersus. There's a few things I can't say just because of sources and different things like that. But basically everything I heard, I'm gonna go over today. And also a little asterisk on all this, subject to change. Like, obviously we're not going to get this game back for a full year, so yeah, subject to change. Just give me 1 second to share the link. Couple places here, and then I will answer questions. I will go over the characters and all the stuff I heard. We'll go over everything throughout this, and if you're late to it or whatever, I will just leave it up as a video for anybody who wants to watch it afterwards. And I don't know if I'll make a summary of everything that's said, but it character-wise at least shouldn't be too hard. It is like I gotta kind of explain certain things because this game is interesting in that I think kind of the way a lot of people think Smash works behind the scenes. Like, I think a lot of people think, or I've seen a lot of fake Smash leaks where it's like, oh, Sakurai has a list of like 30 characters and he picks like 10 of them or something. MultiVersus is a little closer to actually being the way I think a lot of people think Smash works, which I don't think that's the way Smash works, but MultiVersus does seem a little more like they're like, I don't know, strange, or I don't know if strange is the right word. I don't know. They pick the characters a little bit more like the way that I think people think Smash works, a little on the go or whatever. So we'll go over everything, and then I will talk to chat and everything too, and then go over questions and stuff. Yeah. So as someone said, am I looking forward to the Mario movie? I am. I am very looking forward to it. I'm going to try to stay on MultiVersus subject here because I have a lot of stuff to talk about. I'm going to go over everything, and so yeah, I'm gonna try to stay on MultiVersus stuff. So people are saying Mordecai's in the thumbnail. Yeah, Mordecai is one of the other Cartoon Network characters that I heard about. So I'll say that right now. But before we do that, let's I think the first thing to go over will be the stuff that got data mined today. So I'm just gonna go on to Lasol, Sil, the Rawl. I think they go as Rawl, RAL. Elsewhere, so I'm just gonna call them Rawl. I'm just gonna go over Rawl's data mine stuff first off. As Jim said, so Mordecai and Rigby separate. So I will go over this in detail when I get to. I'm gonna go. I have my like image that I've been using in videos. I'm going to do my uncensored version of that image that shows all the characters, and I'll go over them that way. But yes, what I had actually heard specifically for regular show, and I'll repeat this when I go over all that, was they were considering both Mordecai and Rigby. They decided to go with Mordecai. They have been discussing costumes for Mordecai, so I know that they chose Mordecai as the character to go with. That might mean Rigby comes later, because they were thinking both. And yes, so separate, because Mordecai was the one that they landed on. That was what I heard. And again, everything I say here is subject to change, because we're not going to see this game for a full year. It is completely possible whatever they were thinking about doing or planning on doing changes, and they, so whatever. But that's what I heard. Okay, so let's go over the stuff that Rawl put here first. This is the over on Twitter, and this is what was data mined today with the April 4th final it's like it was supposed to be the end of season 2 into season 3, but there's no season 3, so it's like the final update before the game shuts down. So you can download the game today, and then is it June 25th? I think the game is just offline until early 2024, whenever they actually come back. So this is the final like data mine we're basically gonna get. So let's look at what they said. The leaked team game mode was planned to have skins attached to it, as there was a planned team event. Munchie Madness Jake, Munchie Madness Shaggy. There are strings for Team Shaggy and Team Jake. Okay, that was something I had not heard anything about, so I didn't know anything about that. I did know about some unplanned skins that we haven't seen, but these are not one of them. Team event, not game mode. Apology. Okay, so that's the team event that skins attached to it. I don't know. This was the big one today, and I put it in the thumbnail, and this was one of the characters that I had heard about. And I say one of the characters I heard about because they are a 3-in-1 character. Or at least that's what they were planning to do. The Powerpuff Girls will be coming to MultiVersus in re-release. A string was just added, Powerpuff Girls. And then they added, note, my wording in the re-release doesn't necessarily mean they will drop as soon as the game drops. It just means at some point after official release. So yeah, the Powerpuff Girls were data mined, and they were one of the, I said there were more Cartoon Network characters I had heard being worked on, and they were one of that. And again, I heard they were a 3-in-1 character. So a single character as Powerpuff Girls. Oh, and also before I get into characters, and I'm sure I'll repeat this, I'll probably repeat a lot of stuff here. Some of this is going to get really, really weird. I heard some very weird stories and very weird potential characters. So, like, get ready for some really weird stuff. If I show you like the image of the characters I've heard, or some of the characters I've heard, it's gonna get weird. And there's one image is like characters I heard, and then there's another image of like lesser characters, like characters that maybe one of the devs said, oh, that character would be cool to get in, or some water cooler talk type stuff, or very out there on the fringe, like, yeah, maybe someday we'll do that character. So there's like characters I heard have some like substance to them, and then there's another image that has a lot more characters that are characters that have, I know, at least have been mentioned by Player First Games. So get ready for both, and both are pretty weird. There's some weird stuff. Okay, continuing on. My wording, I did that. Whoever is codename C030 is being worked on, as they were added to the string of #MultiVersus. So potentially C030, it could be Powerpuff Girls, could be Samurai Jack. I know we have C026 that we weren't sure who that was. So I don't know, one of them could be Samurai Jack, could be Marceline, could be Powerpuff Girls. I don't know. So yeah, that's more of a data mine thing. Moving down here, this was something I didn't know about. I do know a bit about Powerpuff Girls, but I didn't know about them getting a stage. So a Townsville stage will be joining the game with them with 2 phases. So Townsville stage for Powerpuff Girls. Didn't know about it myself, but obviously makes sense. I knew about Powerpuff Girls, so cool. Two stages or 2 phases of it. I don't know if that's going to be maybe normal Townsville and then destroyed Townsville, but that's just me speculating. I have no idea. I didn't hear about that stage. Planned Steven Universe stage, Mask Island. I don't know much about Steven Universe, and I hadn't heard about another Steven Universe stage, so cool, but that's news to me. Some upcoming LeBron skins, Amazon defense LeBron, warm-up LeBron. So there you go, potential skins for LeBron. Joker was supposed to be the next character for #MultiVersus. My theory was still correct. So yeah, I mean, I've been saying that since Marvin dropped back in November, just so long ago. But yeah, Joker was definitely supposed to be the next character. I don't know what exactly happened with that holdup of everything. Obviously, I drew my picture of the Joker for you guys, and that is what he looked like when I saw him. He looked like that picture I drew. I can pull up that picture actually just real quick for people who didn't see it. Yeah, this was basically what he looked like when I saw him. So I don't know. We're going to see this game for a year, and they didn't drop Joker. So will he still look like this when he releases? I don't know. I was hoping he would, so I'd at least get some like redemption for saying he'd be at the Game Awards, just being like, see, he looks like this. I did see him. You know, it wasn't totally fabricated or whatever. But yeah, this was supposedly what basically he was going to look like. From what I saw of him, this is what he looked like. I drew it, so there you go. If that's still what he's going to look like when he shows up a year from now, who knows? That is, they've already had enough time to like completely, I feel like, you know, redesign him if they felt like it. So don't know what it'll look like when we finally get him, but he was supposed to be the next character. This one, I did know about this skin. There was a Jake zombie skin planned for #MultiVersus. So I had heard about that back when they were doing the Halloween event. Supposedly there was a zombie Jake skin, and they swapped it out for the calico cake skin that we got. I'm not sure why they swapped it out. There's another Halloween skin we didn't get, which was the reluctant werewolf Shaggy, I think, skin. So I have this big list of stuff. I'll go over everything I heard. But yeah, those were the two Halloween skins that we didn't get. So Zombie Jake skin seems to, I guess this was data mined, so potentially still showing up. I don't know. Someone asked, have I heard anything about Fiona? No, actually. There was some theories about Fiona, or someone said something online that I'm forgetting what exactly it was. Someone on Twitter said something about Fiona. I forget how it worked. It was in one of my past videos, but I will say this about Fiona. I do know, like, Echo Fighters were a thing that were on the table. I know of 4 of them, and I'll go over them. And Fiona is not one of those 4 that I had heard, but I would imagine she's a prime candidate to be an Echo, so totally could happen. Someone asked any South Park stuff. No, but like I said, there's some really weird stuff that you're going to be like, what? When I go over it. So there is some out there stuff that's kind of in the realm of like South Park. But no, I didn't hear anything South Park. Okay. I missed the pink. Okay, so this was like an add-on to this, so I'll just read this one first. A wedding Steven skin was planned to release for #MultiVersus and is now delayed, of course, as well as a Buddy's Book Garnet, Cape and Crown Garnet, and Musical Theater Garnet skins. And then they added Pink Diamond Steven and Farmer Steven skin. So a bunch of Steven Universe skins along with that planned Steven Universe stage, Mask Island. I hadn't heard about any of that stuff. I heard nothing about that. And then the Townsville stage again. And then no, if you have, yeah, so I think that's everything. That's everything for the data mines from today. All right. Someone asked Ted Lasso, and it's like the weirdest story. It's like the weirdest story. All right, someone's asking Walter White. All right, let's move on to characters because I know that's what everybody wants to see. So I'm going to show, like I said, I have 2 images of characters. The second one especially needs like discussion, like it needs a little I want to say explaining to it. So let me drop this down and we will look at some characters here. So here we go. Here it is, uncensored. I have 1 character on here that I'm going to censor still. I was just asked not to mention them, and it's not really my, I don't know how to say this, my leak to leak. So if it gets leaked, I will say who the character is. But otherwise, here's everything, except for, well, there's a second page. But here's the image I keep using, uncensored, except for one of the Cartoon Network characters. Boom, there you go. And if you look over the limbo section, you're gonna be like, that's some weird stuff. And then just real quick, I'm just gonna show you the other image of things mentioned that I definitely need to explain a bit. And I need to explain those limbo characters too. I know everybody's like, what? But I'll show you the one other thing and I'll go over that afterwards. But these are like lesser, so hold on one second. Boom. Okay, here's another thing that I desperately need to go over and explain. But there you go. And then let's go back to that first image, and we will explain what's going on with that first image. Okay. All right. Yeah, I see people going, what the heck are you? Someone said Aquafina. Yes, I know. Okay. All right. Now, so that second image that I see people saying stuff, please take with like way more of a grain of salt, because then I will go over all of it. But let's go over this stuff first, because that second image is way more like in the territory of someone at Player First Games mentioned that character would be cool to put in MultiVersus. Maybe we could get that character. That would be neat. Not like definitive stuff. So yeah, I know people are looking at this stuff. Someone said JoJo. Yeah. Okay. All right. So Joker already talked about, obviously, a million times. Marceline, you guys know, I went over it. She was a female character. They wanted to do a female rep. Tony obviously tweeted about what skins would you guys like as Marceline's default. So that one, obviously turned out to be true. Hermione, I talked about how Harry Potter characters, WB wanted them to have Harry Potter characters. They wanted to do a female rep. This is the same thing with Marceline. WB wanted them to have like 3 Harry Potter characters in season 2, and obviously we got no characters in season 2. Besides, I think Marvin was technically like start of season 2. So I don't know what WB was thinking with trying to get 3 Harry Potter characters in. But they were going to go with Hermione, but that just didn't happen. Samurai Jack, we have the Aku Mountain stage already data mined. And Aku's Mountain is a reworked Mordor. It's the Mordor stage from Lord of the Rings stuff. They're just trying to use that stuff to some extent, so they're going to rework it for Aku's Mountain. Or at least that was the plan. Again, anything could change. Powerpuff Girls, heard about them. They're a 3-in-1 character. Not going to get into anything further than that with them. Especially, I'll say this about any of these characters. Anything moveset wise or really specific about their designs, like I said with the Joker's clothing and look of him that I drew, it's a year out before we might ever see any of this stuff. So there's no point going over the specifics of what characters will be like in the game, because they could totally change. They have way more than enough time to completely change everybody. And then Mordecai, which I talked about a little earlier. That Mordecai. They were thinking about either Mordecai or Rigby. Potentially they could add both, but they had them separate characters. They're thinking which one should they do, and they have chosen Mordecai, as far as I'm aware, because I know that they were thinking up skins for Mordecai. So I know of a few of the skins for Mordecai, but again, I'm not going to say specifics because anything could change. So people are asking, what's Limbo? So Limbo, if you look at, we have Brute, Ninja, Gandalf, Legolas, Godzilla. So like the Lord of the Rings stuff. Obviously the rights changed hands from WB, so they were planning to put Gandalf in the game, but now he's in limbo because I think they still want to add him, but there's weird stuff going on with those characters. So they're not guaranteed characters. They're characters they like maybe would want to do, but haven't done yet. Or have, so there's some rights issue maybe, or something. I'll go over each of them specifically. And I just want to say one last thing about the leaked characters before we move on from that. The one more Cartoon Network character, I'm not going to say who it is because it's really somebody else's leak, not mine. If they ever say who it is, I will come out and say, yeah, that was the Cartoon Network character I heard. I'll just say one little thing about them so that it's at least a little bit more than just the broadness of Cartoon Network, because I could, obviously another Cartoon Network character is going to get in the game eventually, so I can just piggyback on that and be like, yeah, that was a character I heard. They are from a Cartoon Network show that is not on here anywhere. They're from a different new Cartoon Network show. Would be new to MultiVersus. I'll just say that much. That leaves it big enough. Someone's asking what era they're from. I'm not gonna narrow it down with anything like that. Just that they are from. It's not Adventure Time character, Steven Universe character, or different Powerpuff Girls character. It's nothing like that. It would be a new show. Okay, so now let's go over. Boom, boom, boom. Should I just go down this giant list? See, I have this like Word document that's like many pages long, going over everything. But people were really asking about the Limbo characters, so why don't I do those first, and then I'll go down this list, and we'll just go through everything slowly. Like I said, this is a long Word document, so let me get to them. Okay, all right. So the Limbo characters. So just explaining what Limbo is again briefly here. Limbo is characters that have either a rights issue or something weird is going on with them, but they were a character that at some time was in some way part of the game or whatever. And a Limbo character could happen over like the data mine characters. Like it could just choose to like, yeah, we're just not going to do the Hound. We were maybe going to do the Hound, but we're just not going to do it. Like that could happen. A Limbo character could happen instead of like the Goonies character or the Matrix character, just because we found some data mine info. They could be like, oh yeah, dude, we got the rights to this character. Let's put them in. So anything could happen with the Limbo characters. Like I feel like Gandalf's pretty darn likely to get in the game. They just have to get the rights to him. But the Limbo characters, I'll go over each of them because they have specific circumstances involved in them. And especially Ted Lasso. If anybody was... somebody asked about Ted Lasso before, and I said it's a really weird story. Because I know people are probably like, okay, so are all the huge leaker actually characters back on the table? Not exactly. So let's go over these one at a time for everything. Godzilla might be in the. So, okay, I'll go over them in order here. Brute and Ninja. Obviously, they were early. They were characters for that early. I forget the name of the game. It was like an early version of MultiVersus. They were going to be the characters that were in it. Rain Dog became a new original character for MultiVersus. Brute and Ninja's just code was still in the game or whatever. I think they're probably not going to happen. I don't think people want original characters in the game. I think Player First Games is aware of that now. Maybe they'll reuse some of their attacks and assets to build other characters eventually, but I think they're probably out. So they're in limbo. Gandalf and Legolas were data mine characters. Excuse me. Specifically, Gandalf had like a full model and stuff people saw in the data mines, but the rights to Lord of the Rings stuff changed hands from WB. I think they still want to add those characters. They had a lot of Lord of the Rings stuff, and I have been told specifically if they were to get the rights to Lord of the Rings back, or they're going to work on getting the rights back, they would obviously put those characters in. So Limbo, but I think they'd probably happen eventually. Godzilla, I don't know what the rights issue thing is with Godzilla. I can look at my notes here eventually and read it. What specifically I'd heard about him. I don't know what the rights were, but I know in the data mine there was like a, I think he was listed in a similar string as Gandalf. Like Gandalf in the code said something like unused character, and then like Gandalf is like unused character Godzilla, something like that. So that's why Godzilla's there. And then 11 was, I was told specifically, was from a pitch to Netflix when they were pitching the game to like, I don't know all the companies. I might have it written down in my notes, and I can go over. I'll go over the notes specifically after just going over it freehand like this. But it was like, they're pitching to like, let's say Disney and somewhere else, and WB and Netflix was one of the places they pitched it to. And obviously WB were the ones who wanted to make MultiVersus. So they made a model for 11. I don't know how extensive that was. I know people data mine the model for 11, but that's all that was. So 11's in limbo. Maybe someday they'll do a crossover with Netflix. Totally possible that Netflix never touches this game again. That was entirely for a pitch. Okay, and now the bottom row, which I know everybody wants me to talk about. All right, Master Chief. So they, I guess internally, they keep talking about wanting to so Master Chief, they want to, how do I say this? I'm trying to say it in a nice way. Steal some Smash hype might be the best way to say it. I don't know if that's a nice way to say it. But like, they want to have characters that people wanted to see in Smash show up in MultiVersus because they want to have that moment where like, oh, Master Chief got in. Personally, I think that's like not the best idea. I mean, not that I'm against Master Chief in MultiVersus or whatever. I'm more just like, I don't think that's the right train of thought for where they should go with MultiVersus. Because I think Master Chief getting in MultiVersus, it doesn't really steal the Smash hype. It doesn't really have that same moment as Master Chief getting in Smash. So I think it's a foolish venture to. It's not a foolish venture to get Master Chief in MultiVersus, but I think it's a foolish venture to try and we did it first kind of thing. It's like, isn't Rayman in like Brawlhalla? Like, does that matter? Is Rayman in Brawlhalla or something like that? Like, does that matter to people who want Rayman in Smash? Not really. They still want him in Smash. Like, if Master Chief gets in MultiVersus, people will still want Master Chief in MultiVersus. So, whatever. Yeah, so that's the thing. They seem to really want to do that. As far as if they went to Microsoft to ask for it yet, as far as if they've tried to do it, like actually made the attempt to get Master Chief, I do not know. And that is probably entirely up to negotiations in Microsoft and everything else. So I have no idea. I just know that internally they want to do this. Okay, so that's Master Chief. SpongeBob. This one is weird. So apparently, this is one of the weirder stories, but apparently, someone keeps asking if we can expect Static Shock. I haven't really heard much about Static. I know there was that whole thing with the, like, was it one of the people who draws or writes the Static Shock comics, when someone put out like an image of Static Shock in MultiVersus is like just a mock-up image or something like that. They like commented on it on Twitter and said like, yeah, I knew this was coming, and then they like deleted their tweet. So I assume Static is happening. I haven't really heard much about him. I will go over everybody though when I read through my list thing here. I'm just going over this stuff kind of freehand here at first. So anyway, the weird thing with SpongeBob is apparently after MultiVersus, I don't know if it was when MultiVersus first got announced or when the first trailer came out, somewhere in the early days of MultiVersus stuff, apparently Paramount reached out to Player First Games and like asked them, hey, if you want to use SpongeBob, you can, or something like that. And this was like right after MultiVersus kind of got announced, which in my opinion is kind of really lame because Nickelodeon All Star Brawl exists, and I don't know if Nickelodeon, I don't know how much Nickelodeon cares about that game or doesn't see that if they put SpongeBob in MultiVersus, it would be kind of like a big middle finger to the it was a Game Mills or whatever, Game Mill that did Nickelodeon All Star Brawl. So I don't know, but that's what I heard, which is a crazy story. So yeah, that was the thing. I mean, SpongeBob could be in both games. There's nothing saying he couldn't be in both games. It would be cool to have SpongeBob fight Bugs Bunny and stuff like that. But that was the whole thing. Apparently, Paramount or Nickelodeon or whatever, Game Mill and Ludosity. Yeah, apparently the Nickelodeon or Paramount reached out to Player First Games right after MultiVersus got announced or got released, whatever, some early time, and said they could put SpongeBob in if they wanted to. Bizarre. Okay, Spider-Man. This is another weird one. Obviously, a lot of these are really weird. So apparently, Spider-Man, Sony was very interested in pursuing a discussion about putting Spider-Man in MultiVersus. I don't know where that sprung up from. I don't know if when they were pitching the game to a bunch of places, if they pitched it to Sony, WB got it, and Sony was like, hey, well, if you want to use Spider-Man or what, or if maybe when they were doing stuff on the PlayStation store, like they're like, hey, our game's coming to PlayStation, maybe Sony was like, oh, could you put Spider-Man in the game or whatever? But apparently Sony was very open to the idea of Spider-Man going in MultiVersus, and they were the ones initiating these talks, and WB was the party that didn't want to negotiate for it. I don't know why that is. I could speculate all day that it was something to do... If people are saying Spider-Man is Disney Marvel, this would be the Sony side of Spider-Man. I don't know if it's WB seeing what Sony has with negotiations with Disney and Marvel and Spider-Man and being like, I don't want anything to do with that. It's too messy. I don't know if it was WB worried that Sony would be like, well, it has to be like PlayStation exclusive or something. I have no idea. I could speculate all day. But apparently Sony was the one saying, Spider-Man would be cool. We'd like to have Spider-Man in the game if you guys want him. And WB was like, nah. So, I don't know. It's a weird one. Okay, next up. The weirdest one. Ted Lasso. Okay, so everybody's looking at this and probably thinking, okay, so Huge Leaker actually stuff. He must have known. Like, Huge Leaker actually must have known stuff because if Ted Lasso's here, then, like, obviously. Well, the thing with Ted Lasso is, the thing with Huge Leaker actually is, so I think Huge Leaker actually had real information, at least at first, because they knew about the game before the game came out. As far as the character names they heard, it was a mixture of some legitimate ones Player First Games were thinking about and some that were completely made up and they had never even thought about. So the Huge Leaker actually list, toss that out. I don't know if they got bad information from multiple sources and one source was bad information and all got all mixed together, or they had real information at first and then they just made up stuff as they went. I don't know. But they started saying Ted Lasso as their list. Well, apparently, Jason Sudeikis, is that his name? Sudeikis? I don't know how to say his name. He's the person who plays Ted Lasso. He reached out to Player First Games after the Huge Leaker actually leaked, started gaining traction and stuff, and was like, basically, I love video games. Are you putting me in the game? That'd be awesome. So, because Huge Leaker actually faked the leak, because Ted Lasso's name started getting out there on the internet as coming to MultiVersus, the actor for Ted Lasso reached out to Player First Games, was like, oh, are you guys actually doing that? So now they might do it. It is bizarre. I mean, can you imagine Super Smash Brothers having a fake leak, and then like Sakurai hears about the fake leak, or somehow it leads to potentially the character happening? Like, that is bizarre. It's like the most bizarre thing. Specifically, what I heard was at first they were going to choose one of the footballers. I don't watch Ted Lasso. I know it's about soccer, football, whatever. But Sudeikis was like, no, put me in. That would be the cooler way to do it. But at the moment, it was just, there's interest. They weren't going forward with it. They just, the actor's interested in it, and they were considering maybe it would happen. They've also considered Ted Lasso could maybe be relegated to an announcer instead of a character. Again, it hasn't really been decided. So that's why they're in limbo. It's a character that maybe they'll do down the line. There's the Player First Games has now kind of considered it, and they have the actors saying, "Hey, it'd be awesome if you did it." But it has not been decided on. I would guess if it happened, it would be a while down the line. But it's bizarre. Okay, and then what do we got next? All right, Scorpion, Mortal Kombat. All right, where do I have that in my notes? Let me go find it. Okay. So a lot of people are asking about Lego. I have heard like nothing about Emmett or Legos. I will just say this. One of the, it's on the other image, and I'll talk about them in more depth in a little bit. In one of the other images, I showed Bionicles. At least one of the devs on the team said, "Hey, Bionicles would be cool. Maybe we could do Bionicles," or something to that extent. Which to me signals that they do have the rights to use Lego stuff. If one of the devs on the team is suggesting Bionicles, then my guess would be that they are able to use Lego stuff. Because if something happened with Lego that they couldn't use it, or they weren't doing Emmett, then why would someone be suggesting Bionicles? But I've heard nothing specifically about Emmett, or Lego at all, except for one of the devs thought Bionicles would be cool. So again, to me, that signals probably Lego still on the table, but I don't know beyond that. Okay, Mortal Kombat, Scorpion. So this is like the exact opposite of probably what everybody would think was going on with Scorpion and Mortal Kombat and stuff. I put Scorpion there because he's just the most likely character, but it's literally just Mortal Kombat character. So Player First Games apparently approached NetherRealm Studios about a Mortal Kombat character being in MultiVersus. I guess NetherRealm Studios demanded full creative control over the character, so Player First Games was like, well, we don't want that, so they didn't move forward with it. That could completely change. They clearly wanted to do it at one time. It's possible NetherRealm Studios could be like, okay, well, you guys just do whatever you want with the character, or it's possible Player First Games could be like, all right, you guys can have a lot of creative control over how the character is implemented. It could totally change, but that's what I heard. It was NetherRealm Studios actually who demanded too much. That Player First Games was like, all right, never mind, we're not going to do Mortal Kombat. At least, you know, for the time being. Maybe like a Mortal Kombat character could have been on the base roster had NetherRealm's just been like, yeah, use Scorpion, do whatever you want. But yeah, that's how that happened. Okay. I heard someone asking about anime characters. I've said it before, they want anime characters. The only anime I've specifically heard was JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, which I'll go over in a little bit about all that. So is Velma getting a costume based on a new show? I haven't heard. I kind of hope not, because everybody hates that show. I didn't watch it. I, in protest, was like, I'm not watching it. I like Scooby-Doo too much. I'm not watching it. People say Mordecai Leith? ? Yeah, I mean, I'm linking them. There you go. Mordecai was one of the Cartoon Network characters I heard, along with Powerpuff Girls. They were data mined. Okay, so that was. Oh no, wait, we got Walter White. How could I forget Walter White? People would be mad if I just moved on and didn't talk about Walter White. All right, Walter White. People said no Naruto. So yeah, I mean, there was like the Naruto symbol in the early data mines, but there was like Hulk stuff. There was something for like the Avengers helicopter thing. Like a lot of that early data mine stuff, I think, was just remnants of them pitching the game around or just playing around with the game and just being, you know, when they were making Ninja and Brute, they might have just pulled some assets from Naruto stuff to make a Ninja character. So I have heard nothing about Naruto actually happening. I think anything that was in the code was probably just from early day stuff. The only anime I've specifically heard is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure that they were thinking about doing. It doesn't mean it's going to happen. It just means they've talked about it. Okay, Walter White. So what I heard, and this isn't much more than what people already know, the main issue with Walter White is the drugs, and whether or not including him would prevent future collaborations with other companies that don't want their characters associated with a character who is a meth dealer first and foremost. Now, we've seen drug references in MultiVersus since I had heard that. Rick and Marvin have some interaction where they talk about the Calaxian crystals or something. From the episode where Rick throws a party, and the first episode with like bird person stuff. It's like, I think it's the last episode of season 1. So drugs have been referenced in the show. Now that's a fake drug. That's a space Rick and Morty drug. But they still referenced it. So it's possible that they will add Walter White. We then had that tweet on January 1st from, I think it was Dan Eder, who's a senior character artist on MultiVersus, I think is what his title is. And he wrote, expect good things, when someone was asking if Walter White would show up in 2023. Obviously, we're not getting any characters in 2023, so we can't really go off of that tweet, but that to me suggests that they were at least considering Walter White, you know, to the extent where maybe he was going to come out that year before they decided to let's just hold off till 2024. So I don't know if he's happening or not. What I had heard was the drugs might be an issue, but that also means that internally they have discussed Walter White. And I do also know that for characters like Walter White, they are assessing whether or not the character is like a meme and a joke, or do people actually want this character? I think with Walter White, I think they're aware that people do actually want the character, but sometimes with certain characters, they get pushed a lot, but it's really more of a meme, and I think they're kind of a little afraid of like, well, if we spend time on a meme character, it's like, cool, it'll blow up on the internet for like a day with headlines, but then are that many people actually going to be playing the game to play as this character, or is it just for some headlines? The headlines might be worth it, I don't know, but I do know internally they weigh the pros and cons of a character that might be more of a meme than a character people actually want to come into the game and play as and maybe stick with the game and all that stuff. Yeah. Someone said Jaro is one of those meme picks 100%. That, yeah, potentially they look at a character like Jaro. A lot of people want them, but then they might be like, well, do people actually want this character, or is it just a meme? You know. So Walter White, I think, probably had a little bit of that. I think they probably, this is my speculation. They've probably leaned more into that people actually want to play as Walter White. But again, the real issue here is just, is the drugs too much or not? Don't know. Someone asked about anything Saul Goodman. All I heard was Walter White and the drug thing. That's literally all I've heard about Walter White. And then that general statement about potential meme characters. All right, and then I'll go to my other image, which is, and I'll go over I'm going to go over my notes. I'll say everything that's in my notes afterwards here, but for now I'm just kind of freestyling, going over characters as we see them here. I'll go over my other list of characters, and these were, it has the Echo Fighters on there, so they're probably going to happen. But it has a lot of characters on here that are more like, I know internally the name's been said. It does not mean the character's ever going to show up in the game. Not that any of these characters are definitely showing up in the game either. All right, so here's the next image. All right. So first off, I should probably explain what the 60+ list characters means. There's Animaniacs. See people in chat talking about Animaniacs. There they are right there. So 60+ list characters. There is apparently, I said this earlier, there's apparently within Player First Games a big list of characters. That's apparently like 60+ characters. It's a huge list of characters. I don't know if these are characters that WB gave them the green light for. I don't know if they are characters that they just made a big list of all the potential characters they could get. Like Player First Games made a big list or what, but it is a big list of 60+ characters, and the characters that they generally choose for the game have been characters from that list. So I'll also add, though, Marceline was not on the 60+ character list. She was someone that they just decided to add or work on or whatever after the fact. So the 60+ character list is not definitive. If we even had the whole list, like, it's not like all these characters would get in or whatever. I just know a few of the names that were on that list. And even the characters I have in the 60+ character list column here or whatever aren't necessarily on that list. They're just characters I either know that were either on the 60+ character list or WB has suggested or were mentioned in some other more definitive way. I don't know. I'll go over each of them individually here. And we'll talk about them. They don't have too much to each of them. So 60+ character list. So the first one I have Daffy or Wily. Player First Games is leaning towards Daffy. So that one is literally on the 60+ character list. Daffy and Wily are both names that are on there, and they were considering which one between the two they should add to MultiVersus. Supposedly, they're leaning more towards adding Daffy at some point. But these are not characters they're working on. This is not like, I'll pull up the other image real quick. This is not like the leaked characters over here. Leaked characters are characters they have decided to work on to some extent, or were at one time going to be in the game. They were going to make that character, whether they got much work done on them or not. The 60-plus character list here are just names they've discussed to some extent, or, again, are on this big list of characters that they might choose. So Wily, between Daffy and Wily, they were leaning towards doing Daffy. That doesn't mean Wily wouldn't happen if Daffy happens. Wily could happen later. But they're probably like, okay, another Looney Tunes character, which one between the two? That one. Since can I please increase my volume? And I'll move closer to the microphone. Hopefully that helps. Someone asked if I could talk about Raven. I'm going to go over everything when I go over. I have my notes here. I'll go over every single character. I'm just going over things briefly first here, just to go over everything that's interesting, that's particularly interesting, and then we'll move on. Okay, so Daffy, Wily, they're on that 60-plus character list. They may potentially get chosen at some point. Player First Games are leaning more towards Daffy, but might not happen for quite a while. Animaniacs. I had heard they weren't working on them at the moment, but they are making a WB lot stage. They're making a stage of the WB lot. This was data mined. Everybody knows about this. On the WB lot stage, there's going to be Animaniacs references. Specifically, what I heard was Pinky and the Brain balloons. I'm picturing like hot air balloons, but balloon platforms. So I don't know if Pinky and the Brain are riding in the balloons, like it's a balloon that Brain's doing some experiment from. I think it's a Pinky and the Brain, like their faces as hot air balloons. That's how I'm picturing it, but I don't know for certain. And those are platforms. I had also heard that they were considering putting the Animaniacs as a cameo thing that would open the WB water tower door and like pop out and then go back in. But I was also specifically told that would not deconfirm them from being playable characters. They would still potentially someday be playable characters. So I don't know if it would be like in Smash Bros. When he plays Toon Link on the Spirit Track stage, the Toon Link conductor leaves and it's Alfonso takes over or whatever. So I don't know if you played as Animaniacs someday down the road, the Animaniacs on the WB stage would just not pop out when you're playing as them. Something like that. I don't know. But they were considering having them pop out. But I was very specifically told the Animaniacs we're still in the running as a potential character at some point, but that the WB lot stage would have Animaniacs references on it. But that doesn't mean they're coming for sure. It also doesn't mean they're not coming ever. There you go. Moving on. Ben 10. Ben 10 is exactly what Tony told everyone. They want to do Ben 10 eventually. I think they want to do Ben 10 right when they do put him in the game. So they're not working on him currently, as far as I know. Maybe now they're taking a year off, maybe they would. But I think he's going to be a lot of work. I think they have to come up with a really good way to implement all the alien transformations, whether he'd be like a Pokemon trainer type character. I don't know. It's all speculation. But yeah, he'd be a complicated character, and they want to do him right if they put him in the game. So yeah, that's what's going on with Ben 10. It's exactly what Tony said publicly. So as far as I know, he's not being worked on, but he is a considered character. Whether or not he's on that big list of characters, I don't know. I'm pretty sure Daffy, Wily, and Animaniacs are all on that list. Ben 10, I imagine he's probably on there if they wanted to do him, but haven't yet. But there you go. Okay, Aquafina. Aquafina is a weird one. So I don't know exactly where the 60-plus character list stems from. I don't know if Player First Games made the list and are just picking off of it, or if WB gave them a big list of WB characters they could choose from. I don't know. So what I know about Aquafina, she might be on the list, she might not, because all I know about her is that WB suggested Aquafina to Player First Games. The Player First Games was like, hard no. They were like, no, we're not putting Aquafina in the game. So that's what I heard. It's bizarre. It's weird. I don't know why WB would suggest Aquafina. I don't know if that just shows how out of touch WB is with what MultiVersus is. My guess would be Player First Games pitched MultiVersus as it can cross promote other WB things out there or whatever, and WB, the higher up CEO type WB people probably just do not understand what they mean by that, when they're going to be like, you know, well, this actress, we're putting her in a lot of our WB movies, so you should promote this actress. And Players Games like, that's not how this works. No, 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 no. Yeah, so I don't know about Aquafina. Somebody pointed out to me that she has like 3 front teeth, and it's really weird when you notice it. So I haven't really watched anything she's been in, but I do notice she's being pushed a lot. So I guess WB really wants to promote this woman's career. And MultiVersus was one of the ways they apparently suggested it, but Players Games was like, nah, so I don't think that's going to happen. All right, Harry Potter and Voldemort. I talked about how WB wanted 3 Harry Potter characters in MultiVersus, and basically Players Games chose Hermione because they wanted a female character. That was the character they were going to choose. The 3 names that, I don't know if Players Games narrowed it down or WB suggested these 3 names or what, but it was Harry, Voldemort, and Hermione were the 3 Harry Potter potential characters. So I threw them on here. I don't know if they're on that 60 plus character list. I don't know if Harry Potter stuff was on that list, and WB then called into Players Games like, hey, out of that big list we gave you, choose these. Or if Players Games made the list and WB was suggesting characters that were never on that list. I have no idea how the whole list thing works exactly. So again, I have these characters all in this little spot that says 60 plus character list, but they're really just kind of characters WB has suggested or were on this list that Players Games might pull from, or various things like that. I just had no idea what to call this category. It's like it's on the verge of being like could happen characters, but they might not. All right, and then Rigby, I kind of basically mentioned this before when I said Mordecai. They were between Mordecai or Rigby, or potentially both, getting in the game, and they went with Mordecai. I know that they... Someone said, well, you show the full list. I don't know the full list. I just know that there's a 60-plus character list. These are just the characters... Really, the only ones I know for sure are on there are Daffy, Wily, Animaniacs, maybe Ben 10. When I look at my notes later, Ben 10 might have also been for sure on that list. I don't know. But I just know it exists. And I know that Marceline was not on it. So that list is not definitively who can get in the game. They can choose other things. That was maybe just a list. Again, either Players Games made when they were first making MultiVersus, and they were like, there's a list, or WB gave them like, here's characters you can use. I don't know. But yeah, so Mordecai and Rigby, they went with Mordecai. I know that they have... chosen Mordecai. That they could also be making Rigby. I don't know for sure. I just know for sure that they are making Mordecai, and that it was between Mordecai and Rigby. They had been thinking both Mordecai and Rigby. Which one should we go with? Chose Mordecai. Maybe they'll also go, well, we'll do Rigby too by the time the game comes out. I don't know, but Mordecai was the one supposedly they chose. Yeah. Okay. Echo Fighters. So this is something that obviously is happening because we had Pickle Rick data mined. And we have Nubia data mine before that. Nubia, I don't know everything about Nubia or what was going on with that, because clearly in the early data mines, Nubia was in there as like, it was like people were already like, is this a skin? Is this a variant? Is this their own character? Like, so I don't know if they had always been dancing around the idea of Echo Fighters, or if they were like, she was going to be a variant for Wonder Woman, and maybe they realized the roster wasn't that diverse and considered, well, maybe we could make her own character. No idea. That's just me speculating. But now that they're doing Echo Fighters, my belief is that Nubia is probably going to fall into the Echo Fighter category. Obviously, Pickle Rick got data mined like crazy, so we already know about Pickle Rick. And then the other 2 Echo Fighters I had heard were Punchline as a Harley Quinn Echo. I can't imagine too many other potential Harley Quinn Echoes, and Big Chungus as a Bugs Echo. And specifically what I heard was Big Chungus would be like the Dan from Street Fighter of MultiVersus. So he would be on purpose like bad at the game. So yeah, these are the Echo Fighters I heard. Whether or not they do, they might, now they're taking a year off, maybe they won't do Echo Fighters at all. Maybe they'll just make these variants. I have no idea what's going to happen with these, but those were the names that I heard. So I heard about that Disney leak from Hungrybox. I have heard about the Disney leak. I kind of think it's probably fake. I mean, people can make AI-generated images really easy these days, and the images of that Disney game they struck me as probably just being AI-generated or something. I don't think anything we saw there really made me think that game was legit, so... I'm going to focus on MultiVersus for now, but just so people know, yes, I did see that Hungrybox video. I think it really only got, and there's no offense to Hungrybox, but I think it really only got, like, people are asking me about it, or people aren't really talking about it because Hungrybox made a video, but I don't think that means it's real at all. Like, I don't think it's real. All right, and then suggested by random devs. We'll go over these ones. These are pretty much not much to these. These are very much so the water cooler talk characters. So just someone that I just know at least one dev in, not one specific dev, but that a dev in the team at some point has either mentioned this character or someone said that would be cool, or whatever, something to that extent. So Grim, someone suggested Grim would be cool. Ed and Nettie, someone on the team suggested Ed and Nettie would be cool. The Doom guy, this was suggested in the same concept that I talked about before with Master Chief of, well, maybe we could steal some of that Smash hype. Maybe we could pick a character that didn't get in Smash that people really wanted in Smash, and like our game would get that hype instead, because it would be like them getting in Smash, but we'd be able to have that moment. So Doom guy was that. But I heard Master Chief was the one that it seemed like they might actually try to go get. Obviously, Doom guy or Master Chief means working with Microsoft, so who knows? Again, with Master Chief, I have no idea if they've even attempted to go get him or not. I just know that they wanted to. He was the character they were like, yeah, that would be a really good character to get to kind of steal that Smash hype. Arbiter was just basically when they were talking about Master Chief, someone said it would be cool if we got Arbiter too. I don't know if that would be as an Echo fighter. I don't know if that would be as another character, because if we're doing Halo, let's do multiple characters. But at least somebody else mentioned Arbiter. Bionicles, at least one dev on the team mentioned Bionicles would be cool. I said earlier that I've heard nothing about Emmett or Lego getting in the game, but the fact that some dev was suggesting that Bionicles would be cool, to me, suggests that Emmett and Lego stuff is at least still on the table. So, there you go. Terminator and Optimus Prime. I'll put both these together because I heard the same thing about both of them. Apparently, Player First Games just, I don't know if it was a single dev or if it was just discussed or what. They noticed that they were on fan polls. They noticed that Terminator was on fan polls, and they noticed Optimus Prime was on fan polls. And I don't know if they thought it was cool or just took note of it. So that is very much so water cooler talk with Optimus Prime and Terminator. Okay, Jonesy Fortnite. I know, big deal, right? Let me look at my notes here and make sure I'm saying this correctly for the Jonesy Fortnite stuff, because there's a little bit more to this one. Where is it? Okay. So Jonesy Fortnite is basically just that, again, potentially steal that Smash hype. People wanted Jonesy and Fortnite and Smash. It didn't happen. Similar to Doom Guy, similar to Master Chief. And if it got in MultiVersus, it could be seen as cool. It's like the character got in Smash, or they get that Smash moment that Smash missed out on. But I heard a bit more. So Jonesy is, again, in that camp. Specifically, the character I heard they were leaning towards was Master Chief as a Smash hype stealing character. But yeah, I mean, it could change, because I didn't hear if they negotiated further with Master Chief or not. But anyway, I did hear this about Fortnite. Supposedly, what they want to do some sort of Fortnite collaboration. I don't know if they ever talked to the Fortnite people about this. I don't know Fortnite's company off the top of my head, or I'm spacing on it. I don't know if they ever talked to the Fortnite people about this. I don't know if it was planned to happen, or if this was just something that they wanted to do and nothing came of it. But supposedly what they wanted was to do a kind of collaboration with Fortnite, some sort of cross promotion, where something like if you get a skin in Fortnite, you also have access to the skin in MultiVersus, or if you got a MultiVersus skin, you'd have access to that skin in Fortnite. They wanted to like collab heavily with Fortnite. Obviously, they want to ride the Fortnite coattails, and if that happened, potentially Jonesy could get in MultiVersus is a whole thing. I heard they wanted to do that. I don't know if anything ever came of it. I don't know if they ever pursued it to any real extent, but that was what they wanted to do. Someone said Fortnite did mention MultiVersus in a poll. Okay, I don't follow Fortnite stuff, so there you go. But yeah, so it's supposedly, I would assume they probably reached out, if nothing else, but I don't know for sure. Yeah, Epic is the Fortnite company. I couldn't think of it. I don't know if they ever talked to them or not. I don't know if it went any further than just something they wanted to do. I don't know. But that was something they did want to do. Okay. And then JoJo's Bizarre Adventure stuff. So JoJo, I heard someone's asking about the Flash. I have not heard anything about the Flash. And also just the things I've heard, like there could be other characters that are being worked on that I just haven't heard about. Totally possible. Anyway, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. So I know they really want to put anime in the game in some form. Oh, did I not do Grim and the Eds? I didn't do Grim and the Eds. I'll do them. Okay, hold on. I'll do them in a second. I thought I said it. I think it was just really brief, but I'll go back and say it again after JoJo's. So they want to put anime stuff in MultiVersus at some point. The only anime that I had heard specifically mentioned. This doesn't mean that they couldn't want something else, because I know anime in general they want to put in the game. So, Ruby, Goku, all possible. I just haven't heard it. They wanted to put, or I don't know if they wanted to put, is the right way to say it. They have at least discussed, or it's been mentioned internally about JoJo. Specifically, Jolene, is that her name? I don't watch JoJo's. The girl character that I have in this image was, I guess, suggested. So I know that for sure. Okay, someone said you talked about both of them. Okay, yeah, I think I just said it really quick. So Grim and Ed, Edd n Eddy, it was essentially for both those. It was just, I know for certain that some dev, not the same dev or a specific dev or anything like that. I just know within Player First Games, it had been suggested. Grim would be cool. The Eds would be cool when they were talking about potential Cartoon Network characters. The Cartoon Network characters I know they've landed on: Samurai Jack, Powerpuff Girls, Mordecai, and I know of one other one that they're definitely working on. Those are ones that they probably picked. After those happen, Grim and the Eds have been suggested already, so maybe they'll be the next ones, but I don't know that for sure. Oh, and Marceline's another, obviously, Cartoon Network character I know they're working on. So yeah, Grim and the Eds have been suggested internally. Whether that means they're above anyone else, I don't know. That's just, the name has been said. Someone asked about any Johnny Bravo info. No. The only thing I know about Johnny Bravo is Huge Leaker actually had them on their list. And I know at least some of Huge Leaker actually's list were characters Player First Games had never considered, and was totally false. So I don't know. Don't know exactly what's going on with Johnny Bravo. If he's, I don't think he's being worked on or anything like that. Whether he's on the 60+ character list, whether he's whatever, or it was just someone Huge Leaker actually mentioned, I haven't heard. He'd be really cool, but I haven't heard. People are asking anything Dexter, anything Aqua Teen Hunger Force. No, if I had heard any of that stuff, this is everything. This is character wise. It's this, and then this, and the only other thing is there's one Cartoon Network character that I'm not going to say, and the only thing about that Cartoon Network character that I'll say here is that they're from a Cartoon Network show that is not yet in MultiVersus in any way. So they're not from Adventure Time or Steven Universe or any of these ones that I have next to them. They're not from regular show, Samurai Jack or Powerpuff Girls. It's a different character from a different new, and by new I don't mean what era it's from. A newer to MultiVersus. It would be a brand new show to MultiVersus. Someone keeps asking about Tony Soprano. No, I haven't heard that. This is what I've heard. However, I will say, given some of the out there stuff on here, specifically some of the stuff that's in limbo, like Spider-Man, SpongeBob, Ted Lasso, Walter White, Master Chief, all these things have been talked about. Something like Tony Soprano is completely possible. Like, they are clearly not shying away from that. Have I heard anything about Fred Flintstone? No, there was some data mine stuff for Dino stuff or something like that maybe could have pointed to Fred Flintstone. I know Huge Leaker actually had Fred Flintstone on their list. I would imagine on the 60+ character list, Fred Flintstone pretty much. I would be shocked if either WB suggested or Player First Games made that 60 character list. If on that list was not the Flintstones, Fred Flintstone, that would be really, really weird. So I imagine he's probably on that list, but I haven't heard anything about them actually making anything. Darkseid, no, I haven't heard anything. Nothing. Possible. Someone asked about the Flash before. Completely possible the Flash could get in. I know the Green Lantern's lantern is on Trophy's Edge stage. So it's totally a lot of the DC characters I think will probably just start rolling out as we go. But I would assume. Oops, what am I doing here? I would assume Joker's going to be the first DC character, and then after that, I'm guessing some of the Datamine characters, Raven at least, I think would probably follow Joker, and then Poison or Static, I assume will probably still happen. If they shelve any of these and go with another DC character like Flash or Green Lantern or something, I have no idea. I really think Raven will probably happen though. Okay, why don't I go over everybody now? I'll go over my. So when I asked about Adult Swim characters, I have not heard any. Possible, but I have not heard any. All right, I'm just gonna go over everything on my my giant Word document thing here. Smiling Friends would be awesome. Octane Hunger Force would be awesome. Like, I really want some Adult Swim characters, but I have not heard. Okay. So I have everything kind of ordered here, so I'll just go down. Someone's asking, Maxwell from Scribblenauts. Have not heard. Have not heard. Any non-Datamine skins I've heard of? Yes. I mentioned one of them, and it might be the only one that has yet to come out. Well, two. One of which just got Datamine today. And there might be more. If it's on this my Word document, I'll say it when I get to the skins section. Was a Zombie Jake skin that was supposed to come out for Halloween, but they went with Calico Cake instead for whatever reason. But I guess the Zombie Jake skin got Datamine, so maybe it's happening still at some point. And then the other one was the Reluctant Werewolf Shaggy skin. So Reluctant Werewolf Shaggy supposedly was supposed to be a Halloween skin. I think he was too hard to model. I think because his face is different, like they'd have to change all his expressions and stuff to work. I think he was just too intense of a model to make. So they didn't get him done in time for Halloween. Someone asked about information on Ninja and Brute. I do not know. I don't know anything. I assume they're probably not going to happen because I just don't think I don't think people are all that keen on original characters. So, yeah. Have I heard anything about Ice King or only Marceline? Only Marceline. I would assume after Marceline, Ice King would be the next in line Adventure Time character to put in. But considering how, like, this game is so big with its pool of characters, it's kind of hard to be like, well, when's Steven Universe going to get their next character? When's Adventure Time going to get another character? When it's like, we have so many just Cartoon Network shows that don't have a single character that should probably be here. We have so many DC characters. We have so many WB properties like The Matrix or something. Like, maybe that should get in before we get our fourth or fifth rep of a certain show. I don't know how they're going to do it. But this game is very large in its pool of characters. So, yeah. Yeah. Okay. So let me go over my big Word document thing here, and I'll just go down it. I have it just kind of sectioned off. So the first thing I have on here is Warner Brothers. It's just the Warner Brothers section. So the first thing I think is just random things about Warner Brothers in regards to MultiVersus. WB makes requests of when characters come out. So we kind of knew this. Like Black Adam, they really wanted Black Adam to come out around the time of Black Adam, the movie coming out. That, I think, really screwed up a lot of the release schedule because I think they wanted to get either Wicked Witch or Beetlejuice out, but it didn't happen. I guess WB requested Gremlins. I think that was to promote that new show, but the show got pushed back, so I don't know. It was weird. They requested Black Adam in October to help promote the movie. Just said that. WB might have made that 60-plus character list. I'm not entirely sure if they made it or if Player First Games made it. I just know it exists. I know Marceline was not on that 60-character list. I have that in here for some reason. WB wanted Harry Potter content for Season 2. They specifically asked for 3 Harry Potter characters in Season 2. Obviously, we got Marvin in Season 2. That was it. It was probably to promote Hogwarts Legacy with the timing, but that didn't happen. And then as far as will Harry Potter characters get in the game eventually, I kind of feel like they will because Hogwarts Legacy sold really, really well. And just today, I think they announced that Harry Potter is getting, I think it's a Netflix series or something like that. So I know there's a lot of controversy with Harry Potter, but as far as companies and making money goes, Harry Potter still makes money. So assumedly, I assume that they'll still at least add Hermione to the game at some point. As far as the other Harry Potter characters, it was Harry and Voldemort were the other two they were thinking about. Maybe eventually down the line. I assume they'll start with Hermione. Though, if they're taking a whole year off and then they come back, and one of the problems was that there were no female like newcomers since the game had started, maybe they'll just have things spaced out in a way that they won't have to be like, well, we gotta add female characters, because they might just have it like game comes back out and they have a few female characters added to the roster, and then they just add characters diversely from there on out. I don't know. I'm just speculating. I know Player First Games had not negotiated with the Wizarding World yet as of, I think, Season 1. So WB requesting the 3 characters for Season 2 was like, they would have to make the characters from scratch. They would have to get the negotiations all made. So it was like a big undertaking. So it was probably never going to happen. So that might have been one of the many reasons this game fell behind. I know WB asked for Aquafina, but Player First Games thought that was a bad idea and said no to Aquafina. I don't know if WB requested Aquafina. Again, I don't know if they gave them like the 60+ character list. So if it was like, here's a bunch of potential stuff, and Player First Games was like, well, we're not doing that one. Or if WB very specifically was like, we want you to do Aquafina immediately, which would be really weird if that was the case. But I just know WB requested it. Oh, people are asking about, it's an HBO show for Harry Potter? Is that what it is? Okay, I thought it was maybe Netflix, but yeah, maybe it's HBO. I think it makes more sense, right? Because it's HBO, WB. Yes, obviously. Game of Thrones is in MultiVersus. Yeah, so obviously WB probably after Hogwarts Legacy, I imagine they are more gung-ho about doing stuff with the Harry Potter IP, that it is not. It is still a moneymaker. Whatever, however you feel about Harry Potter these days, with the controversy and whatnot. Okay, so leaked characters. So I kind of went over these, but here's my notes on them, so I'll go over that. Joker. I've seen his model. I drew that picture of him. So you've all seen the picture I drew, or you can easily look it up in one of my other videos. I think it's in the thumbnail of a video. That's what he looked like when I saw him. Whether they change it by the time the game comes back in 2024, I don't know, but that's what he looked like when I saw him. I had gotten confirmation that he would be at the Game Awards. He'd be voiced by Mark Hamill, which I think that already got data mined, right? Yeah, we got voice lines data mined. That was the dream that Tony, like a dream come true thing that he tweeted about, was working with Mark Hamill. And then I'm not going to say anything more specific about Joker than that. I already showed you what he looked like. If I got into any attacks or anything that he has, like anything could change in a year. So let's move on. Marceline, I know she was not on the 60+ character list. So she was a character that they either probably from fan demand or later on they decided that would be a good character. And when they were thinking about potential female reps, they were like, yeah, Marceline. So props to Marceline fan base out there. You may have swayed Player First Games to consider a character that they hadn't been looking at. Tony wants to add Marceline because of the lack of female reps. So yeah, I talked about that. And they were asking that. This is so funny because we're just so far behind. We didn't get characters at all. But at one time, this was probably in like November, Tony was asking the team if they should do Marceline or Beetlejuice after they released the Joker. And the consensus was go with Marceline, again, probably because they wanted to do a female rep. I think Beetlejuice was a character they were, planning to. So Beetlejuice was supposed to come out for Halloween. I assume Wicked Witch was probably as well. But Beetlejuice was supposed to come out for Halloween, but because WB demanded Black Adam, they went with Black Adam, and then they kind of shelved Beetlejuice. And I don't know if Beetlejuice was close to being finished. I don't know if they had went with Beetlejuice after Marvin instead of Joker, if maybe they could have gotten him done in time. Like I don't know the specifics of getting stuff done. I just know that WB wanting Black Adam to come out around the time of the movie screwed up Beetlejuice for us. So yeah, they were going to go with Marceline after Joker, but obviously we never even got to Joker. And then Tony publicly tweeted about asking about her default skins. So yeah, that kind of proved that one. is a character they were talking about. Samurai Jack, that was the push forward in development character due to fan demand. They wanted to try to get him done for season 2, but thought they probably wouldn't be able to get him done until season 3. Obviously, we're not even close. They are going to be voiced by Phil Lamar. They have already recorded lines. Phil Lamar has already recorded Samurai Jack lines. I've said this before in videos. Yeah, and then I had heard at one time that Samurai Jack might not happen until season 4. That was like in like January. I was hearing Jack might not happen until season 4 now. And now obviously the whole game's going on hiatus. So yeah, they were very, very, very behind. And people are asking about like, is anything Star Wars? People are asking about South Park. I showed this is all the characters. I went over everything. If you missed it, I'm going through my notes here, so a lot of stuff will probably I'll probably go over them again. But it's this image that I have in the background, and then this image are the only names I've specifically heard or know have been said behind the scenes. It's possible other stuff exists, but these are the names I've heard, and then this is more like stuff that these names are floating around the office in some way. Besides the Echo Fighters, they seem more like they might actually happen. And then this is the stuff that lead characters, Dynamite characters feel like they will probably happen eventually. Limbo characters are these weird characters where I feel like they want to do them, but for various reasons, for negotiations or just the weird circumstance of the character, they're sitting in limbo. At one time may have happened. Someone's asking about Mad Max. Yeah, no, I have not heard Mad Max. This is Terminator. It's a picture of Terminator. So yeah, even though Ted Lasso's here, it's just Ted Lasso's just a weird story about how Huge Leaker actually like his leak got some of the stuff on his leak was totally fake or untrue anyway, but it got the attention of Jason Sudeikis, is that his name? The person who plays Ted Lasso, and he actually contacted Player First Games, was like, hey, are you actually putting me in the game? And Player First Games was like, well, maybe we will now. So I don't know, but it's a very like, it's not actually happening. It's one of those like, yeah, we could do that. Okay, continuing forward. Past Samurai Jack, next thing was Harry Potter stuff / Hermione. WB requested 3 entire Harry Potter characters. I went over a lot of this when I was talking WB stuff. Player First Games, when WB was requesting 3 Harry Potter characters in season 2, was like, it's not going to happen. They haven't even secured a deal with the Wizarding World people yet. That was, I think, during season 1 when WB asked about Harry Potter characters for season 2. So, yeah, obviously we didn't get anything in season 2. But yeah, WB's requests seem crazy sometimes. But they were thinking about doing Hermione if they were going to do a Harry Potter character because it's female rep. Supposedly Harry Potter content is wanted so that they can sell skins to Chinese whales. So I guess Harry Potter is massive in China. I guess it's really popular there. And a lot of Chinese gamers are whales. If you know what a whale is in a gacha or free-to-play game, it's someone who spends a lot of money on all the extra stuff. They wanted Harry Potter stuff in the game. WB wanted Harry Potter stuff in the game to some extent so that people in China, I don't even know if the game is available in China, but so that they could potentially eventually be selling Harry Potter skins to Chinese gamers. that was apparently the thoughts. Someone said Asia in general. Yeah, Asia in general has a lot of people who play phone app games and gacha games and games where you drop money into the game or whatever, you buy skins for your character, stuff like that. So yeah. Someone said, yeah, not available in China. Yeah, so it's not in China yet. I don't know if that could suggest that they're going to open it up to China. I know within the game's files there was like asset stuff for the Switch and there's asset stuff for mobile, so I don't know if they're planning to eventually get it to mobile, but that's the direction WB wanted things to move in. So yeah. Okay. So I'm kind of surprised Harry Potter isn't censored in China. Yeah, it would make sense to me too, because it's like ghosts and stuff in Harry Potter. Maybe it is censored in China. I don't know. Apparently they really love it, so it is what it is. I know Chinese censorship's weird. Sometimes China censors certain things, and other things have like the exact same thing. Like they'll censor something because it has a ghost in it, but then they won't censor other things that have ghosts in them just because it's like really popular. Like China censorship very bizarre how China operates on censorship and all that stuff. Um, yeah, another one of the other reasons for picking Hermione. I don't know if this is the most PC, politically correct thing to say, or if this is a sexist thing to say, or what. But she's a potential waifu character, and waifus sell skins. So yeah, we already I think see that a little bit with some of the character choices in MultiVersus. For instance, the one that comes to mind is we don't have Joker in the game yet, but we have Harley Quinn in the game, and I definitely think there's something to be said about. Again, if you're trying to get whales, if you're trying to get people who are going to buy skins for these characters, if you can get a certain type of lonely guy out there, I guess they don't have to be lonely, but a certain type of guy out there who loves a certain female character and will play as them in whatever game they're in and will buy all the outfits and stuff for them. Yeah, that's definitely a demographic if you're trying to sell your game. So, yep. Moving on. Powerpuff Girls. All right. Powerpuff Girls are planned, but they probably won't be done for like a year. I had heard that a couple months ago. So obviously now they're definitely not going to be done for like a year because the game's not coming back for like a year. Yeah. Tony wanted to push them relatively soon, but I guess developing them, they were like, it's going to take like a full year to get a character done, which shows how long it takes to get a character done from like scratch. If they're like, okay, let's do this character, so this year off, I hope they get a lot of characters ready to then be able to roll them out at a consistent pace, because they clearly didn't have that ready. I thought when the game first came out that all those data mine characters were like basically finished characters, especially how fast they were rolling out characters at the beginning with Rick and then Morty and then Gizmo, and I thought like all the characters were at that level of development where they would, just a little bit more and we'll get them done, just a little bit more work and we'll get them done. But clearly that fell apart. Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about specifics of Powerpuff Girls beyond that they're a 3-in-1 character. They're not 3 separate characters. They're a 3-in-1 character. At least for now. Again, we have a whole year, so anything could change. But that's what they were working on with them. Okay. Mordecai / Rigby. I went over this before, but just looking at my notes here, make sure I don't miss anything. They settled on Mordecai. I know a little bit about him beyond that, but I'm not going to go into it. I'll just say they chose Mordecai, but they were thinking about Mordecai and Rigby, and went with Mordecai. That means Rigby could happen later, though. Rigby was on the pedestal of which character should we choose at one time. That's kind of where most of these characters are, like Hermione, Marceline, Mordecai, Rigby, whatever. But I know these are characters I know have had work done on them to some extent. Joker, Marceline, Samurai Jack, Powerpuff Girls, Mordecai, and Harry Potter character. I actually don't know if they did any work on them. I just kind of assume that they would, because they had specifically picked Hermione, but I don't actually know that for sure. But I consider those lead characters. There's one other Cartoon Network character. I'm not going to say who it is, but they are from a show that is not yet in MultiVersus and not on this list of. Also, not the leaked shows. So they're not a Samurai Jack character. They're not a Powerpuff Girls character. Adventure Time character. Steven Universe character. They're not. It's a different show. And I'm not saying who it is because it's not really my leak to say. If someone comes out and does leak it, I will back it up. I will say yes, that was who it was. I will reveal it. But if that's for someone else to decide to do or not. Okay, data mine characters. We'll just go over all the data mine characters, because why not? Beetlejuice. He was supposed to happen after Black Adam, but got replaced by Marvin. Beetlejuice had a lot of work done on them. Had animations, costume, but then I was told it was probably shelved until next October. Then I was told they were talking about who to do after Joker, and it was either Beetlejuice or Marceline. And they had kind of chosen the Marceline. But this was like at one time in like November when this was relevant. So I don't know what's going to happen with them now. So the original plan was Beetlejuice to happen for Halloween, but then it got changed to, and I don't know if Wicked Witch was going to happen also around Halloween or maybe November or what, but it was going to be Beetlejuice and Halloween. Then it got switched to Black Adam in October because WB was demanding it for the movie. and then Beetlejuice was going to be in November, and then Joker was going to be Game Awards. Instead, what happened was we got Black Adam in October because WB demanded it. Marvin was a character they had finished from the beginning, but they kept him. They didn't put him out. They kept him back so that if they ever got behind, they could drop a character release. So I guess what happened was they did Black Adam. I don't know if Beetlejuice wasn't finished or if they were like, maybe we should save him for next Halloween or what, but they decided to drop Marvin, the character they basically already had finished, at the start of season 2, end of season 1, probably just to have a character to promote that new season. And that probably should have been a bigger sign that, wow, they are very behind if they are using their plan B character that was Marvin that early. But I was told, Joker would be at the Game Awards. Didn't happen. And then we've got nothing since then. Nothing. So there you go. Marvin was saved and finished for plan B. I already said that. And then just Beetlejuice might be shelved for now, or they could release whenever. But of course, now we're on a year-long hiatus, so who knows if they'll save him for not this next Halloween, but the Halloween after, or if he'll show up during the relaunch of the game or what. Wicked Witch, I was also told we probably wouldn't see her until potentially like next fall now, but I don't know for sure. She also, like Beetlejuice, had a decent amount of work done, at least model-wise. Someone's asking about any information on Scrappy-Doo. No, but I'll go over Scooby-Doo when I get to him. Okay. So that's Wicked Witch. Okay, Raven. So I heard Raven got pushed back. Obviously, at this point, we're on a year-long hiatus, so whatever. But this was, I think, towards the end of season 1, beginning of season 2, I was told Raven got pushed back a bit. She had concept art that looked closer to her. It looked like a mix between Teen Titans and her comic book form. She didn't have gray skin. She had peach colored skin like comic book Raven, but she looked kind of like Teen Titans Raven in outfit wise. So she's kind of like a mix between the two. But I think they wanted to redo her. I feel like they maybe wanted to make her look more Teen Titans like Teen Titans the show like. I don't know that for sure, but the model I saw was a mix between the two. She got pushed back, I think, for some remodeling work, and now of course the whole game is pushed back. So she could show up at relaunch or whatever. She could show up shortly after relaunch. I have no idea. I imagine she'd be the next DC character after Joker, but that is just my assumption. So there you go. All right, Scooby-Doo. They're voiced by Frank Welker, who did, I think, Stripes' voice actor. So there's already lines and stuff for Scooby. I don't know if Scooby in the data mines was ever, if the voices were ever data mined, or if it was just people mentioning Scooby, I think was what was data mined. And so people are asking stuff about like Courage the Cowardly Dog, Blue. Some people asking about Gumball and stuff. I'm not going to talk about specific cartoons. I'm not going to just check off who isn't from Cartoon Network that I haven't heard or whatever, because it'll narrow down who that Cartoon Network character I have heard could be. So I'm not going to. So yeah, Cartoon Network stuff. I'm not going to answer anymore. This is what I heard. This is everything I heard. Someone said MultiVersus just announced they removed the game from stores. Yeah, okay. Figured that was supposed to happen at some point today, so I guess it happened now. Okay, so Scooby, yes, he's voiced by Frank Welker. Supposedly they were coming up with a moveset idea for Scooby. That was in late October. I don't know if that meant they were actually going to make Scooby-Doo, but they were coming up with a moveset idea. So he didn't even have a moveset idea or concept as far back as late October. So yeah, so the initial assumption that all the data mine characters had a good amount of work done on them is just simply not true. But that does suggest to me that they were coming up with a moveset idea, and Scooby will probably happen eventually. But he may be further back if they were just coming up with a concept for him, where other characters probably had full concepts and stuff just not worked on yet. Static Shock, I never heard anything about Static, except for that whole thing where someone who either, I don't know if they draw the comics or write for the comics, deleted a tweet after someone had said something about Static and MultiVersus, and the tweet implied that they knew Static was coming to MultiVersus, so then they deleted the tweet. But that might just be that they, negotiations for Static had been done, so they knew he was coming eventually. How far along he is, no idea. Would be cool. I would, like, if Joker's happening for Joker's definitely happening for MultiVersus. If after Joker, my guess would be Raven. I would guess maybe Static would be after that. If these are the DC characters they have planned, which would be awesome because I really like Static Shock. Poison Ivy, never mentioned, never heard anything about Poison Ivy. Daenerys Targaryen, never mentioned, never heard anything about Daenerys. The Hound, never mentioned, never heard anything about the Hound. Craig of the Creek, never mentioned, never heard anything about Craig. Emmett, also never mentioned, never heard anything about Emmett, but that one thing with a dev at some point suggesting Bionicles would be cool makes me think that Lego is still on the dev's mind. It's probably still on the table for them to do Lego stuff. Otherwise, I don't think that dev would be suggesting Bionicles if there was some negotiation issue or Emmett wasn't happening or something like that. So I would assume Emmett probably is still happening. And all those characters that never got mentioned to me, I think they're probably still happening as well. They just might not happen. They're probably just a little further back than the characters we know have been worked on or whatever. And I mentioned before in other videos that, like, characters that weren't data mined, like Marceline or Powerpuff Girls, will probably come out before some of the data mined characters because I think they're trying to come out with fan-pleasing characters as much as possible, and mixing that in with some of the characters that they would maybe thought they were going to do earlier, but now might do a little later. So who knows what the order is going to be in the end. Someone said, have they mentioned Louie and Hattie? I don't know who that is. I don't know Louie and Hattie. I don't know if that's a show or what. I don't know. People are asking about Puss in Boots. I have heard nothing for Puss in Boots. I know that movie, it was really good. I saw it. But I know that movie's really popular right now. But anything that's very new, I feel like it's going to take a while. I mean, we have a whole year off, so maybe who knows what could happen. And isn't Puss in Boots is like DreamWorks, right? So yeah, no idea. People keep asking about Mad Max. No, I've heard nothing from Mad Max, and I know for a fact at least some of Hugh Leaker Ashley's characters were totally wrong, and characters that player first games had never even considered or whatever. Mad Max might be one of those characters. I don't know for sure which ones are and which ones aren't. Okay, moving on from... Or actually, no, we have two more. Matrix character. So I guess the devs... Similar to Terminator and Optimus Prime, which I mentioned before, the devs noticed that Neo scored highly on a fan poll. Beyond that, I have heard nothing for the Matrix, but we know from the data mines there was like the green number writing of the Matrix. The Matrix like code is like, I don't know if it's a banner or something. Some asset in the game's files looks like that. So they're probably at least considered Matrix character, but I have heard nothing. Goonies, I heard nothing about Goonies character, so I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. I already went over all these. These were the next thing in my notes. Were the 60+ character list. Things like Daffy Wiley, Animaniacs, Ben 10, Aquafina. I went over all this stuff. I'm not going to go over it again because there's not much to it other than what I already said. Echo Fighters. I know that they decided to do Echo Fighters based on how slowly they were rolling out characters. So, yeah. Nubia, she was a variant, and I heard she's being repurposed as an Echo, and they weren't sure what to do with her at the start. So, there you go. Punchline is a Harley potential Echo. Pickle Rick obviously got data mined, so we know everything about Pickle Rick. Pickle Rick was supposed to come out, I think, to kind of be a kid because it was be easier to make an Echo Fighter character than make a full-fledged character. So since Joker was taking so long, they were maybe going to put out Pickle Rick, but then the Justin Roiland stuff happened, and now they're just shutting the whole game down. So there you go. That's what I heard about that. Big Chungus was going to maybe be a Bugs Echo, and was supposed to be the Street Fighter Dan of their game. Okay. third-party characters, third-party out there characters. These were my, this is what I have on the limbo, the second row of limbo characters, which I basically already went over. But let me just look at my notes here, see if there's anything I didn't mention. Walter White, the main issue was drugs, but maybe they'll add him. I don't know. That tweet at the beginning of the year sounded like they said expect good things, so maybe they've changed their mind and decided to add him. There is some drug references in the game. I don't know. That's all I heard about Walter White. Ted Lasso, I told the story already, so I don't feel like I need to tell it again. But quick version of the story is, because of the Huge Leaker Actually leak, which had some fake or at least not real characters on it, Jason Sudeikis, the person who plays Ted Lasso, heard about the leak, and then called up Player First Games, was like, are you actually adding me to the game? I love it. I love that. It'd be awesome. So now Player First Games may actually add him, but it's more like just a big maybe. And they've also considered maybe he could just be an announcer instead of a full-fledged character, which would probably just be an easier thing for them to make than come up with a whole character for Ted Lasso. So yeah, that the Huge Leaker Actually leak, having fake stuff on it, might actually result in something happening for the game, which is just bizarre. Master Chief is just entirely about wanting to potentially steal some of the missed out on Super Smash Bros. Hype. So, it's a character that didn't get in Smash, but would be really hype for people to see in a platform fighter, blah, blah, blah. So that's Master Chief. I went over that already. But that was the idea. Whether or not they've gone to Microsoft to ask for him, don't know. So, but I know that they want to do that. SpongeBob, I have written here in my notes that Paramount reached out to Player First Games and asked to put SpongeBob in. So not Nickelodeon, Paramount. That's what I have written down anyway. And that was, they asked Player First Games if they wanted to put SpongeBob in. That was right after, I guess, let's say after the trailer, probably the CGI trailer for MultiVersus came out, is what I have written here. Day after the trailer, they contacted them and asked if they wanted to put SpongeBob in the game. It'd be cool to have SpongeBob fight Bugs Bunny, but I think it's really lame of Paramount. It sounds like that just makes it sound like they have no faith in Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. Like, you already have a platform fighter with SpongeBob in it, and it just seems like a sneaky, weird thing to do behind the back of the Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl developers, behind their backs or whatever to do that. Though conversely, maybe Paramount. You always have to think in the mind of a CEO business type person who has no idea what's going on and might not see this as rude. They might think, oh yeah, platform fighters. SpongeBob has been a platform fighter and it was great. Everybody loved it. So let's get him in this other platform fighter. That would be great too. They might not be looking at it the way we might be looking at it. Personally, I think it just seems kind of not that it wouldn't be cool to have SpongeBob. He could be in both Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl and MultiVersus, and it would be cool to have him there. It just seems lame of them to, I don't know, reach out to be like, oh yeah, put our big mascot character in your game when we already have a game for them that we're not promoting or something. Anyway, if someone's asking about like Rayman, well, the thing is, like, so Master Chief was supposedly, that was the one that I think they're most focused on potentially trying to get, though I have no idea how the negotiations went or if there is any negotiations between them and Microsoft or whatever. But the whole point was to try to get characters that could have been in Smash into MultiVersus, or at least do it once with Master Chief. That was their whole purpose for like thinking down that train of thought. So someone like Rayman could also be on the table for that concept. Spider-Man, I already went over. Sony was, it's weird, Sony was the one interested in putting Spider-Man in MultiVersus. I don't know if they're interested in, I have written here, very interested in pursuing a discussion about Spider-Man getting in MultiVersus. So I don't know if that means they contacted Player First Games, but apparently WB was the party that didn't want to negotiate for that. I gave some speculation as to why that might be. It might be because Sony notoriously has been difficult with Spider-Man, with Disney and Marvel. I don't know. Or if Sony would maybe have wanted Spider-Man to be PlayStation exclusive to MultiVersus, and MultiVersus doesn't want any exclusive characters. I have no idea. It's just all speculation. But supposedly Sony wanted to do it, and WB was like, no. I don't know if Player First Games contacted Sony and that got it started, or if Sony contacted them, but WB was the one who ended that. Really, very, very, very strange. Someone said, did Paramount offer other characters like South Park? I don't know, but they offered SpongeBob, so worth keeping in mind. I also did hear that after the Game Awards, after MultiVersus won Game of the Year, Fighting Game of the Year at the Game Awards, I don't know specifics about this, but they were contacted by multiple places with character suggestions and collab suggestions. Like a lot of places got pretty amped about them winning fighting game of the year and wanted to collab with them. So a lot of this stuff, like potentially Master Chief with Microsoft, or Fortnite collab. A lot of this collab stuff, like after the Game Awards, apparently a lot of places were actually contacting Player First Games. I don't know what ones specifically, asking to do collabs. So could be really good news for the future of the game if they have a lot of strong other franchises and other companies wanting to be a part of what MultiVersus is. So I think a lot of companies out there are at least they've recognized. I know MultiVersus like totally fell apart. Now it's going on hiatus for a full year, but I think a lot of companies out there did recognize how many players jumped on board with MultiVersus when it first showed up, and the fact that it has a lot of it's critically acclaimed. It's won a lot of awards and stuff, showing that like there's a lot of potential here. So hopefully, that's good news. Okay, this is just the list. Next thing in my notes is the list of the suggested by random devs bottom row, which I already went over, and it's pretty brief. It's I'm not going to re-go over it because I went over all that stuff already in as much length as they could be, in as much length as I can go over them with. Back to here, I have notes about some of the other Limbo characters. Brute and Ninja, I know nothing about what they're going to do with them. My guess is they're just going to scrap them. Godzilla, I never got mentioned with Godzilla, but the code was written in a way that suggested he was cut. And we have Tony and the dev saying that huge characters were difficult to make, like Iron Giant, so they might be waiting on that. So I don't know if Godzilla has that same weird way that he was written in the code that said something like unused. I don't remember what the code was, but it was like unused was Gandalf's number, and like unused was also Godzilla, making it seem like they cut them out. So I don't know if that was because of like a Toho negotiation thing, or if that was just because they were like, man, we're not going to do a huge character for a while, so they shelved Godzilla. Don't know for sure what's going on with Godzilla. Lord of the Rings stuff, what are my notes on that? Lord of the Rings stuff was 100% cut because of the rights. So the rights issue and negotiation thing was 100% why that stuff got cut. Pretty obvious, but yeah, there you go. That was confirmed to me. They surely will attempt a new negotiation for Lord of the Rings stuff. But if that happens, they'll probably rework Gandalf a bit. But I was told he was already voiced in everything. I don't know who his voice is. I don't know if was it Ian McKellen? I don't know if that's who the voice is, but apparently he's already voiced. And again, if they did get the rights, they'd probably rework him. I think that's because Gandalf was similar to Rick. Like, they did a lot of reworking on Rick before Rick came out. So they'll probably do the same thing. What I was told was they'd probably do the same thing if they did get the rights to Gandalf. So hopefully they get the rights to Gandalf, because I love Lord of the Rings. Gandalf, when I first saw MultiVersus, the first leaks for MultiVersus, Gandalf was a character I was like, that's who I'm going to main. And then it did. I was like, Gandalf and Finn. I'm going to main those two characters. I love Adventure Time. Love Lord of the Rings. But Lord of the Rings is like really more my thing. It didn't happen. So hopefully that happens eventually. 11, I talked about this, is not happening. She was pitched to Netflix. Someone earlier said that the model for 11 was fake or something. I have no idea about any of that, but I was told that they did pitch MultiVersus to Netflix. And the actual specific quote here says they probably made the model and did some voice lines for the pitch. But that was it. They pitched to Netflix. So whether or not they ever do a crossover with Stranger Things and 11 gets in, no idea, but it was pitched. It also says they also pitched the concept of the game to Disney, but Disney declined. So Disney was pitched to, which makes sense because isn't the lead artist, or I think he might have quit or changed hands or something, but the lead artist for MultiVersus was the Disney Infinity guy. So it makes sense that they pitched it to Disney at some time. Okay, Scorpion Mortal Kombat stuff. I already went over this, but it's just a little weird. I'll say it because it's pretty fast. Player First Games approached NetherRealm Studios about a Mortal Kombat character, but NetherRealms demanded full creative control, and Player First Games didn't want to do that, so they didn't move forward with it. That may change. Potentially, NetherRealms could loosen their grip on their characters and let MultiVersus do what they want with it, or MultiVersus could just maybe concede, hey, it'd be cool to get a Mortal Kombat character. We'll give NetherRealm Studios a lot of creative control over how the character's represented or whatever. But it's just a little strange that it was NetherRealm Studios that was the issue with getting a Mortal Kombat character, because you just think it'd be easy. Okay, next up is stages, skins, and announcers. So, WB lot stage. I talked about this. Animaniacs were maybe going to cameo in the background of the water tower door when it opens. But I was specifically told this would not count Animaniacs out for potentially being a playable character. But they were maybe going to cameo in the background of the water tower, the door opening on the stage. They were, I guess, considering what they should do with that. So, yeah, if that does happen, don't think that means Animaniacs can't happen. It would probably be a Toon Link on Spirit Track stage situation where if you play as Animaniacs, they wouldn't open the door anymore. But that is if they make Animaniacs. I heard nothing about them specifically working on Animaniacs or anything like that, so maybe it would happen down the line. I was just told that if Animaniacs do cameo as that water tower door opening thing, it wouldn't count them out. So apparently they're probably thinking about whether or not they should do that, if fans would be mad about it or not, because they'd think, oh, does this count them out or something? So that's probably why it says, they were just thinking about it. Ooh, Diamond Death, $10 donation. Thank you so much. Yo, Papa, it's been forever. Oh, hey, what's up? What's going on with this game? Will it drop the free-to-play and be an actual game like Smash? Also, is Powerpuff Girls one character or three? They are one character, 3 in 1 character. Hey, having to pay for every little thing. They are a 3 in 1 character, from what I heard that they're working on. And as far as if they're going to drop the free-to-play and make it just I think they'll probably come back still as free-to-play. But they may change the whole model of everything. I have no idea. How the model of the game's going to change when it relaunches. They could change the whole UI and interface, and they could definitely change other stuff. I know the whole thing with the Gleamium and how the battle passes don't give you Gleamium stuff. That's all WB stuff, which is pretty obvious. That's not player first games. That is WB, wanting the game to generate as much money as possible and not understanding that the way to do free to play games is to have the battle pass pay for itself with you earn Gleamium or whatever, in enough Gleamium to pay for the battle pass. That way people buy in once, and then you have a player base that has an incentive to continually play every season, because it's going to pay for their next season and their next season and their next season. And that means more people will buy on because you have a player base. Obviously, MultiVersus lost its player base. That was a huge problem for it. Part of that problem was because of the way they set up the free-to-play. So yeah, that's all on WB. And the corporate CEO people or whatever. So unfortunate, but it would be cool if the relaunch of maybe player first games can maybe they can throw themselves at the mercy of WB or the corporate CEOs, whoever it is, and say look, this is the way you have to set up a free to play game. This is the way other free to play games do it, and it works. You don't lose your player base. It works. So whatever. Okay, and then so WB lot stage, more stuff. So this is, if you get a KO on the WB tower, hot air balloons will spawn on each side that can be used as platforms. They're shaped like Pinky and the Brain. Okay, so I kind of explained this before, but that's the exact thing I've written down here. So I guess when you get a KO on the WB water tower stage, Pinky and the Brain hot air balloon platforms spawn. The way I wrote it makes me think, I didn't see it, makes me think that Pinky and the Brain are the shape of the hot air balloons on that stage. Diamond Death, another $2 donation. Thank you so much. I'm okay with free to play, but not to the extent it did. Yeah, same. Things were really expensive. Certain skins were I don't remember the exact prices, but it was it's $5 a skin, which that's a lot for a skin for a character. And just a lot of things were expensive in the game. I agree. I wish the game was cheaper. And I wish the biggest thing, I just wish the battle pass would gain you Gleamium, so you could buy into the battle pass and at least earn all the battle pass stuff for one buy-in, and then just it's just about me playing the game and putting the time in. Because if that's the case, that's what keeps people playing. That's why people play battle passes, to play it all, so that you pay for the battle pass, because you get enough Gleamium to buy the next one, and then you get a player base. That's how it's supposed to work. Someone said try 20. Yeah, some were $20. It's crazy expensive. Yeah, again, that is not on player first games. That is corporate stuff. So it sucks. Hopefully, maybe they can again throw themselves at the mercy of them and get things changed. But it is not something they can easily just be like, fans are complaining about this, so let's change the prices. It sucks. I think everybody realizes that. Just obviously, if you've ever worked anywhere, corporate, if you're anywhere with a corporate and then the actual people on the ground doing the stuff, people on the ground usually know what's up. Corporate has no idea what's going on. Corporate demands ridiculous things that end up not working out. Same thing here. Okay. So another stage. Teen Titans stage. I know there's a Teen Titans stage coming. It's Titan Tower, but very, very crude early version of Titan Tower was out there during season 1. It was pretty much just shapes. So probably just like a big T without much detail. But that could change greatly, obviously, if they had a very preliminary stage. Another stage was Aku's Mountain. Mordor. The Mordor stage is being repurposed into Aku's Mountain. So they're trying to use some of those Lord of the Rings assets and stuff to make further content. So that's Aku's Mountain. Some of the feedback, though, was that Aku's Lair has a very specific look to it. And the mountain stage that they had for... I don't know what the Mordor stage was like, but if it was, supposed to be like Mount Doom and it had like a slope or something like that, like... Aku's Lair doesn't really look like that. Like, it doesn't really have it's not really a volcanic mountain or something like that. It's, whenever they show Aku's Lair, it's like a flat platform that Aku comes up from, like, he rises up from, like, the depths of. So, I don't know. I don't know if Mordor really fits well to be an Aku's Lair stage. So I don't know if that's going to follow through till the end or if they'll scrap it and just start from scratch with Aku's Lair. But they were trying to find ways to repurpose Lord of the Rings stuff. We already saw that with, Morty being able to summon Rick's car. That was supposed to be Gandalf's eagle, was what that move was. So they were repurposing it. Aku's Mountain, apparently they were repurposing the Mordor stage. And then they can't do Lord of the Rings. They did lose the rights to Lord of the Rings, but I was specifically told they're going to try to renegotiate, try to get that stuff back. I imagine they'll be able to. It seems like Lord of the Rings IP, I forget what it was. There was a few things that were doing stuff. Someone was making like NFTs with Lord of the Rings stuff, or something got announced about that. So I imagine they're going to be able to renegotiate to use it, but they're going to have to do those negotiations. Sometimes negotiations isn't even about like, oh, it's tough to get. More it's just like, well, legally it takes months and months and months for just the negotiations to happen before they can even touch the IP anymore and do before they can even legally be working on Lord of the Rings stuff. Because let's say they worked on Lord of the Rings stuff and I don't know, it got seen in some way, and then it's like, well, you weren't legally supposed to be working on that, and blah blah blah. So they sometimes just have to get through negotiations. Hopefully, Lord of the Rings stuff happens eventually. Okay, skins. A lot of the skins I had heard like happened. So there's not too many. Yeah, I think it's pretty much just the two that I already said. I have Marvin getting a Space Jam referee skin on here, but that already happened. So Zombie Jake's skin was planned for Halloween, but didn't happen. They went with Calico Cake instead. And then the other one was Reluctant Werewolf Shaggy was planned. These were both planned for Halloween. Zombie Jake and Reluctant Werewolf Shaggy. But they decided not to do Reluctant Werewolf Shaggy because they'd have to like remodel his whole, like his face is different than Shaggy's face, so they'd have to remodel some stuff to make it look right. So they decided not to do it. But I was told they'll probably do it next year. Now, obviously, next year or this year, whatever, next Halloween, MultiVersus won't even be back yet. So maybe it'll be the Halloween after that, or maybe it'll just show up at relaunch. Who knows? I see people asking questions. I will. Actually, a lot of questions are skin related, and I'm doing the skins here. So yeah, okay. Fiona, I have heard nothing about Fiona. There was a bunch of speculation about Fiona. It's in one of my past videos. I don't remember the specifics off the top of my head. Somebody had seen something on Twitter. They posted something that suggested Fiona was maybe going to happen. When I was talking about that, I had already heard Echo Fighters were something they were going to do. And this was before Pickle Rick got data mined. So I thought, oh, maybe Fiona's going to be one of the other Echoes. But that's as far as that went. I still think that's probably, pretty likely. Brain Gremlin had been data mined, but I hadn't heard anything more about Brain Gremlin besides them being data mined. Pretty sure they were data mined. Pretty positive that was a thing. And someone up before asked about Pibby. I haven't heard anything about Pibby. I've heard nothing about like people were asking about Adult Swim shows earlier. I've heard nothing. I would love for them to do like Aqua Teen. Love for them to do smelling friends and stuff, but I've heard nothing. Robot chicken would be cool. I've heard nothing. Okay. Announcers. Ted Lasso could be relegated to an announcer instead of a character, and that goes hand in hand with the story I had heard, which was Hughes Leaker actually saying Ted Lasso was in the game was totally fake and false, but then Jason Sudeikis, I think that's his name. I don't watch Ted Lasso, but then he contacted Player First Games probably because of the leak. He probably saw like articles online saying Ted Lasso is coming to MultiVersus and was like, "Are you guys putting me in the game?" So now they might actually put him in the game, but they have now said, "Well, maybe we'll put him in the game, or maybe we'll just do him as an announcer because maybe they don't have." Making a whole character is a lot of work, so they might go, okay, well, since the actor reached out to us and stuff, maybe we'll just do an announcer. It's probably just an easier thing to do. Hat Stack Mike, $5 donation. Thank you so much. They said, it's a shame things didn't work out with NetherRealm, since Scorpion would be the character I would be most excited to play as. Thanks for the info. Yeah, again, it could change. We have a whole year now in front of us, and obviously NetherRealms is a WB thing, so it's totally in-house and stuff. Like, it's probably not too hard of a thing, but supposedly what had happened was NetherRealm Studios wanted too much creative control, and Player First Games decided not to go forward with it. That might just mean they decided not to go forward with it at that time. Like, maybe they were thinking of, who do we want for base roster? And then they were like, look, we don't really want another studio coming in and having complete control over one of the 20 characters we're working on right now. So let's just not do Mortal Kombat for now. Maybe they'll do it down the line. Maybe during this break it'll be easier to be like, NetherRealms, if you want to do a Mortal Kombat thing, go for it. Who knows exactly? But what I had heard was actually NetherRealms was the ones who demanded too much, and Player First Games was like, nah. Damn it, Death, another $2 donation. Thank you so much. Shut up and take my money. Nice comment. And thank you for letting me take your money. Okay. What's after announcer stuff? There was someone from some podcast, some comic book podcast person who I would have to look deep into past stuff here. I don't have it written who it was. Somebody from some comic book podcast was suggested as a potential announcer, but they were suggested in the same way that I was talking about in this other image. The characters on the bottom of this image were potential water cooler talk, or some dev said they'd be cool or something like that. It was some comic book podcaster was suggested as they'd be cool. So I wouldn't put too much in that one anyway, but I don't have the name of who it was or what the comic book podcast was. I probably have it written somewhere. I'd have to look back through stuff. Okay, next, and this is my final section, which is a bunch of stuff, and there's some cool stuff in here. So there's some cool stuff saved for the end here. Anime. Player First Games wanted to add anime characters, but I don't know specifically which anime, if any, they had landed on. We had that Scythe leak early on that suggested maybe a Ruby character would happen, but I heard nothing more about the Scythe leak. Some random dev did suggest Grimm, but they suggested Grimm in a way which makes me think they were never working on Grimm. That it was just like, well, what other Cartoon Network characters should we add? Maybe Ed, Edd n Eddy, maybe Grimm. Which makes me think, well, then they weren't working on Grimm. So maybe that Scythe that was data mined early was maybe for Ruby or something. I don't know. I'm totally speculating. Hadn't heard anything. The one anime that I had heard that definitely got at least pitched or brought up in conversation was JoJo character. Specifically, is it Jolene or Jolene? I don't know how to say it. As a female rep. I think it was probably when they were talking about, well, we need more female reps. So that was one was like Hermione and Marceline. So maybe they were thinking JoJo characters, and then someone was like, oh, well, maybe Jolene, if we're doing a Joe's character. That could be another female rep we could do. So I don't know. Someone said FLCL and Ruby are easier because of WB having strong connections with them. Yeah, it makes sense to me, but I don't know who that Scythe was for. My assumption was it's not for Grimm, since someone suggested Grimm, and if they were working on Grimm, that wouldn't have happened. Since they do want to add some anime character, maybe someone was doing early model work for Ruby, or maybe a proof of concept. I have no idea. Total speculation. The only anime I specifically heard was JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and that was only heard as pitched, like they suggested maybe it would be cool. Moving on. This is a big one. I'm gonna save this for a while. Hey, Raul, what's up? Oh, someone said I sent you the announcer in your DMs if you wanted to say it. I'll just. It's not that important. The comic book announcer thing. It's kind of like too specific, and I don't want to. I don't want to. I'm just not gonna say it. It's not that. I don't think it's a big deal. And it was only a pitch thing anyway. Okay, so this is a big one. This next thing. Comic book. MultiVersus was supposed to get a comic book. So that was a cross-promotional merchandise thing. MultiVersus was going to get a comic book. I've actually seen some of this comic book. So it definitely exists. It's... How much should I say? I guess I could just say stuff about it. Whatever. The game's on hiatus for a full year. Who cares? The comic book... Someone said, any images of it? I've seen it. I'm not going to show any images of it myself or say if I have the images or I just saw them or what. But I've seen it. It was a comic book. It appeared to be DC focused. Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman were like the main characters of it. They were contacted by 3 other characters, or I think contacted. Like somehow it's like I only saw bits and pieces of it, so I didn't like read it, so I don't know what the exact storyline plot is. But something to do with the Rabbit, the Witch, and the Star Child, which is Bugs Bunny, the Wicked Witch, and Steven Universe. Wicked Witch is not even in MultiVersus, so I don't know if that prevented them from putting the comic out, or if I don't know how publication works for comics. I don't know if comics get done and then not published for like a full year later. I have no idea what was up with this merchandise. But yeah, MultiVersus is supposed to have, merchandise cross-promoting it. Comic book was one of them, and yeah, it was going to be about those 3 DC characters being contacted by the Rabbit, the Witch, and the Star Child. It looked like a DC comic from what I saw. It was like DC-looking artwork and stuff. So it was like in DC Universe, and again, calling them the Rabbit, the Witch, and the Star Child instead of Bugs Bunny and Steven Universe. Like it was more. It had that DC feel to it to some extent. Supposedly the comic ends with them going to Mr. Miracle and Big Barda's house. And I don't know DC characters that well. These are some more obscure ones. And their daughter is like hiding Bugs Bunny, and Bugs Bunny is the rabbit. There you go. Someone's asking, is Shaggy in the comic? I only saw like a very small amount of the comic. So can't say too much more on that. But yeah, I assume when they relaunch MultiVersus, it would be awesome if like those trading cards we've seen that they gave out at certain like events and stuff. I'm trying to remember what was it PAX last year or something? Somewhere they were giving out trading cards and stuff. So if they come out with a comic and trading cards and potentially more stuff, would be really cool if they relaunch it and have a bunch of stuff and it becomes like, MultiVersus it's a video game, but it's like, it's a bit more than that too. It's this whole thing. It's this WB cross-universe thing. Because I think WB wanted to do that. Like, the Space Jam 2 movie felt very much so like WB wants to brand or have brand recognition for its owned franchises. And MultiVersus is another thing that does that. Space Jam 2 was, MultiVersus is. So, doing more stuff with MultiVersus, having that be that's the WB universe, it's called MultiVersus, could be a thing that they could do in other media and stuff like that. Would be cool, but yeah. So, there you go. That's what I heard about that. Fortnite. Fortnite stuff I talked about before when I was talking about Jonesy on my list there. The thing was, they were trying to work with some sort of negotiation with Fortnite. Specifically, what I heard was you get a skin in Fortnite, you'd also get the skin in MultiVersus, and vice versa. Like, you bought the skin, like if you bought a Black Adam skin in MultiVersus, you could get the Black Adam skin in Fortnite. If you bought it in Fortnite, you could get it in MultiVersus. Like, they cross promotes in some way, some sort of collab. I heard they wanted to do that. I don't know if anything came of that. No idea. But that's what I heard. And then the other thing was that when talking about characters that didn't get in Smash that they could hype up, Master Chief was the one they seemed most leaning towards. But Doom Guy and Jonesy also came up in those discussions. So If they did do a Fortnite collab, totally possible they'd get Jonesy in MultiVersus as well. Okay. I think I'm not going to mention this next part because it's kind of specific. I'll leave this next part a little vague. They have a tough time keeping, and maybe the year off will help with this because they'll be able to backlog a bunch of stuff. But they have a tough time making up skins and the battle pass stuff, even just banners and whatnot, simply because they have to negotiate and talk to so many companies to get that stuff. Like every time I think they want to do something new, it has to be, I think, like approved, or at least a lot of these places probably have to approve. So, you can imagine like you want to do something Game of Thrones, and that might have to go over to some HBO people. It might have to go over to George R.R. Martin's negotiation team to say, yep, that's approved, or whatever, before they're even able to put it in the game. So you're trying to do that every couple months, have a new battle pass and make stuff. It's tough. So they were trying to come up with ideas for other things that could be in the game that they could put out there that wouldn't have to go through all these different franchises for them to stick in the battle passes and stuff like that. So I'll just say that about that. There were some other ideas for stuff. It's one of the reasons why Rain Dog gets so much stuff in MultiVersus. So yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much the end of my notes. The last thing I have on here is Huge Leaker, actually, which I was told some of what they said was legit. A large chunk of it was not correct and probably either fake. So either they had some real information and then were fed fake information from someone else, or half real, half true. Somehow they got jumbled up because obviously they knew about the game before it came out, but a lot of the other stuff that came out was simply not true. And then that led to the Ted Lasso thing, which is really funny. Okay, so that's all of it. That's all my notes. All right, people are saying stuff in chat, so now I'll just take questions straight from chat. If your question is just, have you heard anything about this character? I'll put up both of the images. I'll shrink them down so we can have both of them here. Put up both the images, but if it's, oops, I'm grabbing something else. Let's see. Trying to do this in OBS. Okay. Put that there. If it's a character that's not on these images, I haven't heard the character. I'm just throwing that out there. If it's not on here, I have not. This is every name I heard, except for the one Cartoon Network character, obviously, that I have blocked on here. All right, there you go. That's every character I've heard. So if you're asking me about characters, I don't know. Guess away at the Cartoon Network character, but yeah, I've said this. I've said I haven't heard Adult Swim, so it's not an Adult Swim character, and I also said it's from a Cartoon Network show, franchise, whatever, that isn't in the game. But that's all I'm going to say on it. I'm not going to say anymore. It's not mine to reveal. Do I know anything about Future Steven, like as a skin? Wasn't that the way they first showed him when I think that was the way they first showed Steven when the game first leaked, and then we got, I don't know Steven Universe well, so did they show older Steven and then we got younger Steven in the actual game? Something like that happened. Did I know about the delay before anyone else? I did not. I did not know about the delay. I knew things weren't good behind the scenes. Like back in December, after the Game Awards didn't happen, I was told, like, yeah, Joker might not happen for a while. Like, they're trying to get him done in time before this season is over. And I was like, oh, man, that stinks. Because I was thinking season 2 is going to have quite a few characters in it, even though I'd been told before, like, maybe Marceline will be the female character. They want to try to get Harry Potter characters in season 2, all this stuff. But then right after Game Awards and Joker didn't happen, I was told, like, yeah, they're not sure when they're going to get Joker done. Then I started hearing about maybe they're going to do Echo Fighters and blah, blah, blah. But I did not hear about the delay. I don't know if Rawl is still in here, but Rawl is aware that I did know about when Black Adam got delayed, like a day or two. I knew about that before that happened. I knew about quite a lot of stuff early on. Most things that were happening. Like I think the week before Stripe happened, I knew Stripe was happening next week. There's like a lot of stuff like that. It's just really unfortunate that right when I was like, all right, Game Awards is gonna be a big reveal, I'm gonna finally start saying like, hey, I've heard stuff, and I wanted to be all coy about it. I didn't want to like give out everything like I'm doing right now. I wanted to just kind of be like, yeah, there's gonna be a character, and just that's how I plan to do it. I was just like, I'm just gonna, kind of hype up the game because that's sort of fun, play the guessing game with people. And then things just fell apart. I don't know. Then they just couldn't. They didn't give us any characters. Now the game's on hiatus for a whole year. So, yeah. Did I hear anything about a Switch port? No. I know that there's icons in the game's code for like Switch button configuration, and I think mobile also has stuff like that. But if or when they're going to do that, now they're taking a year off, maybe they could, maybe when they relaunch, they'll relaunch with, MultiVersus is also coming to mobile and Switch. I could see that happening. Before I was thinking, they're too far behind on everything, trying to catch up. They're probably not going to focus on getting it on other platforms. But who knows after taking a break, what they could come back with. I think eventually it'll happen. So is there any teasers at Summer Games Fest? I know nothing about Summer Games Fest. Maybe at some point I'll hear about stuff. I do have some other rumors for other games that I've heard. And we'll probably get some pretty decently big leaked information. I'm not going to say exactly what right now at a later date for some future games. But yeah, nothing immediately. So I'm not going to say anything. Heard anything about ring outs? No, I didn't have anything listed as ring outs on here. It might have just been that like it's just not that interesting of stuff, so I was never aware of them or looked into them. JoJo is owned by Warner Bros. Japan, so it's easier for them to get. Okay, yeah. Well, so I knew FLCL and Ruby are WB associated, so. Yeah, if JoJo's is associated well, that JoJo's is the one anime that I had heard they were considering or had been pitched, had been talked about. Is DreamWorks content planned? I've heard nothing. Anything like that is probably like I'd probably stick anything like that in limbo, even if I heard about it, because it's like it's other company negotiations. I did say earlier, for those that missed it, that after they won Fighting Game of the Year at the Game Awards, a lot of companies, I don't know which exactly, did contact them and wanted to be like, oh, like I want to be a part of this. So MultiVersus does have good buzz behind the scenes. Like it had a huge player count when it first showed up. It has won a lot of awards. So these companies are aware of it, and Player First Games could probably go to these companies and be like, hey, check us out. Check out like these awards we won. Check out how many our top player numbers or whatever. So like the potential of the game is clearly there, and I think a lot of other companies are aware of that. Hopefully it can reach that potential because it fell off so hard. But yeah, a lot of companies apparently after the Game Awards did reach out to MultiVersus and say, they'd like to collab, like to work with them. I don't know which companies. I don't know if it's anything to do with the companies here that they had been considering and stuff. But yeah, so maybe when it relaunches, it might be backed by a lot of really good stuff. That's me being hopeful, but we'll see. Any more information about Godzilla? Was really scrapped. I heard nothing about Godzilla except that he was written as in the game's code as like unused or whatever it was written as, which was the same as Gandalf. I think that might just be because he's a giant character. It might have something to do with negotiations with Toho. I don't know. I'm as in the dark as you are. His bug's coming to the game. Yep, he's there. How many characters are there being worked on? From what I have heard, it sounds like they work on a lot of characters at once. I imagine it's departmentalized. Like, I imagine there is art department and a modeling department and a moveset department and a tester department and, so that sort of thing. So, like, I think one of the reasons there were so many data mine characters was probably early stages of characters. Like, oh, let's get voices recorded for these characters. Let's get some models done for these characters. Stuff like that happens on one level. But then, which characters are pushed forward into, like, let's make that moveset. Let's get that character done. It's different. But from what I hear, I mean, it's like Joker was being worked on. They wanted to do Marceline. They had WB suggesting Harry Potter characters. They were focused on Hermione. Tony wanted Samurai Jack because of fan demand and stuff. He wanted Samurai Jack as soon as possible. I know Powerpuff Girls, they had concepts of them being a 3-in-1. And this is alongside Beetlejuice had been worked on to some extent. Wicked Witch had been worked on to some extent. We have all these characters with voices and stuff. So it sounds like they juggle a lot at once, which I don't know if that was the downfall. I don't know if that was the bad move. If it would have been better to be like, okay, 3 characters we're focusing on. This one gets finished, and then we add another one, and now, this character's done. Now we're at another 3 characters, and then this one gets done, and then we add, another one goes to the back of the line, and they roll them out more conveyor belt, assembly line style. If that would be better than going like, hey, we got 20 characters we're juggling. Who knows which one will get done? I don't know if that was a problem or not behind the scenes, but it sounds to me like they work on a lot of characters at once, or have a lot of characters in different stages of development at a lot of different times. Someone asked, is there anything Simpsons related planned? I haven't heard, but considering Sony offered Spider-Man, Paramount offered SpongeBob, the actor for Ted Lasso called them up after the Huge Leaker Ashley thing, was like, hey, are you really putting me in the game? And they might now potentially do that in some way. People want Walter White, and they've at least considered it to the extent where they were like, I don't know about the drug use stuff, if that would be good for this game or not. So they've at least considered it. And that tweet that said, like, expect good things in regards to Walter White, I wouldn't put it past them to grab something like Simpsons, or someone's been, people were talking about South Park earlier, which is also, Paramount has some South Park stuff, so SpongeBob's Nickelodeon, Paramount, so, totally possible. I wouldn't count anything out from this game of what, the reaches of what they could do. Out of everything I've seen, what am I most excited for? Character-wise, I think Samurai Jack's probably the coolest. I was really, like, when I heard Samurai Jack was coming and Phil Lamar was voicing him, I was like, yeah, that's awesome. So, yeah. Will Rick and Morty stuff be affected by Justin Roiland's allegations? I don't know. I feel like Pickle Rick, they held off on launching because of the allegations. I don't know that for a fact, but it certainly feels that way. Because I know they were like, we're not going to get Joker done in, like, very soon, so let's do Echoes. They decided to pull the trigger on Echoes. Pickle Rick seems to be the one that from Datamine seems to be the one that they decided to do first. I didn't know that at the time. I just knew they were doing Echoes. And then the Datamines come out and they have Pickle Rick. And that was like, Datamines came out like a day or two after Justin Roiland's allegations, or around then. So I feel like they were then probably like, okay, well, now let's not roll out Pickle Rick. And now they're just like, all right, let's just put the whole game on hiatus. There's no fixing this. There's no quick Band-Aid to this situation. And I don't know what's going to happen with Rick and Morty. I don't know if Justin Roiland's going to come back to voice it. I don't know if too much other weird stuff has come out about him that has just tainted his name despite the allegations being dropped. No idea what's going on that front. Do I have any info on plans for what was being worked on since Marvin, but before the hiatus announcement? Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I've been saying this whole time. A lot of stuff was post-Marvin. But specifically what, it's so much of this is what they were thinking about doing or maybe doing, and blah, blah. Powerpuff Girls, Samurai Jack, any of the stuff that's not out, that's post-Marvin worked on stuff. Diamond Death, another $2 donation. Thank you so much. Who's voicing Powerpuff Girls? New/old voices, question mark, or both for alts? I don't know what they look like as their main costume, so no idea. And I don't know who's voicing them. I do not know. So I could look into that and potentially find out, but I don't know. If I do look into that, I'm probably not going to make any more MultiVersus videos until, closer. I'll still make videos. Don't think I'm not making videos. I want to do a Mario Kart roster video and some other stuff. Tears of the Kingdom stuff. Might start streaming a lot more because, I don't know, MultiVersus is clearly going on hiatus here. But I'm probably not going to make any MultiVersus videos for a while. So if I hear any MultiVersus news, I'll probably just tweet it or talk about it on my Discord or something. So you'll just hear about it, if you're in the MultiVersus scene, hearing stuff. But so if I hear who's voicing Powerpuff Girls, I'll let people know. But so far, I don't know for sure. Space Otaku, $1.99 donation. Could you give a hint on the era of the Cartoon Network rep? I wish I could say more, especially because you just donated. But it's not for me to say. It is up to someone else if they want to leak that one. If they do, I will say, yes, that was who it is. I will back up what they say, but it is not necessarily mine to say that. What I did say about them is they are not from any of the Cartoon Network shows that are in the game, or any of the ones that, like, they're not a regular show, Samurai Jack, Powerpuff Girls, any of the ones that are in my leaked characters list. It is a new show. It'd be another new show added. But I'm not going to say anything beyond that. Uh, Diamond Death said, "Can you text it to me? If I find out, I can text it to you, or I'll probably tweet it if I find out something like that." Robert, $2 donation. Thank you so much. Do you think a JoJo character has a chance? I definitely think they have a chance. Yeah, because I both heard that they want to do anime. I heard specifically JoJo's as the only anime I heard was being pitched around. There might be other animes pitched around. That doesn't mean others weren't being discussed, but that's the one I specifically heard. And Jolene, Jolyne, I think is the character's name. I don't watch JoJo's. I have her. As one of the two JoJo characters there was the character I heard specifically pitched or talked about, discussed as a possible. I think it was because they were thinking up more female reps. We need to have more female reps. So probably they were thinking JoJo's, and then I think probably everything at that time was probably, well, what female rep can come from this? Like when Harry Potter was suggested, they were like, oh, Hermione would be a female character, and we'd be able to both add Harry Potter stuff and a female character. So JoJo's might be the same way. Maybe we want to do anime stuff. Well, maybe we can do JoJo's. Well, maybe we do a female JoJo character. People are asking specific Cartoon Network character stuff. Like I said, I'm not going to say if it's, there's a lot of shows out there. I'm not going to say if it's Dexter or Gumball or Johnny Bravo or Chowder or I'm not going to say what it is. Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. People keep asking stuff. I'm not gonna say. It is out there. It is out there. Anything could be anything. So I'm not gonna say no. I have or haven't heard random Cartoon Network shows. So I said, how is the progress on Mordecai development? I know some specific stuff for some of these characters. What do I want to say with it? Attacks, potential skins, etc., etc. But I'm not gonna say because I feel like it's a year out, and at this point, I almost feel like I already showed the Joker, the way I saw the Joker, what he looked like, what his costume looked like, and there's so much time that could totally change that, and I feel like if I say things about the characters and then it doesn't happen, like it's just pointless at this point. Like they have a full year to change stuff, so no reason to do that. Delmo's World, $2 donation. Thank you so much. Persona 6 at Summer Game Fest. Do you know? Sorry for off topic. I don't know. I know nothing about any Summer Games Fest leaks or anything like that. I have, like I said, I've heard a few leaks recently, and I know I'm going to get at least one really good thing down the road, but I'm not going to be specific about that. But nothing in the impending near future have I heard about. Every leak that I've heard is like a while down the road stuff. Yeah. Do I know anything about how they cast the voice actors for the game? Basically, legacy versus new ones. I have no idea. So far, they seem to go with the right voice actors. I mean, they got Mark Hamill for the Joker, Phil Lamar for Samurai Jack. That's just the new stuff, and all the characters in the game. Most of them have good, like the voice actors you want. Even Rick and Morty. I mean, Justin Roiland controversy aside, if we go back in time to when Rick and Morty first got into the game, even though they reused voice lines from the show, they did that rather than getting a sound alike. They got the person. So it seems to me like most of the time they try to get the person who voices these characters. So yeah, I assume that will continue to be the case, or the person that most fans of these shows would want as the voice actors. I think MultiVersus has done a phenomenal job of picking voice actors. Someone asked, what does it mean? Excuse me. What does it mean that SpongeBob's in limbo? I said this earlier, but I'll just say it real quick. Again, Paramount contacted Player First Games shortly after, I think it was right after the trailer for MultiVersus came out, and told them if they wanted to use SpongeBob, they could, or pitched or offered SpongeBob, whatever you want to call it, to Player First Games, which is kind of weird considering Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl exists, but SpongeBob was offered to them if they wanted to use him, so that was a thing. Whether or not they'll ever use him, or they go through with that or not, no idea, but that's what I had heard. That's why he's in limbo. All the limbo characters are either some weird negotiation issue or just some weird story behind what happened with them, which kind of a lot of them feel like, well, if negotiations turn around, they'll probably happen, or if Player First Games decides to go after them where before they decided not to, they'll probably happen. Sometimes, which of these leaked characters had voice lines? Did any of them hint towards other leaked characters? That's more data mine stuff, which I'm not the best person to ask about because I'm forgetting off the top of my head who had the voice lines for what. I know if you search out there, people have the audio files for the data mine stuff, and you can listen through like all of Raven's data mined stuff, and she mentioned certain characters, and some of the other characters mentioned other characters, and all that early data mine stuff was how we were getting a lot of this. My stuff, like the lead characters here or whatever, are stuff that I, sources told me. How many new character stages do I think we'll get at launch? I don't know, but I would actually prefer if it's not a ton. I would actually prefer if it's just a couple characters, like 2 or 3, and 1 or 2 stages or something like that. However, they have finished behind the scenes like another like 10 characters and another like 5 stages and a bunch of skins and battle pass stuff, and then they just work on future stuff, and every month they roll out like 1 character, and every other month they roll out a new stage, and we get battle passes and events, and it's just they've built up a reserve of stuff to roll out to us. That would be my hope. I actually would be really wary if the game returns and there's like 10 more new characters and a bunch of stuff, because I feel like they're screwing up again. They're doing exactly what they did this time, which was the game came out and we got a new character almost every 2 weeks for like the first 3 months there. If we got a character a month, we could have been still getting new characters till like around right now, because they just do 1 character a month, and that would still be a fast release schedule. But they slowed down. They gave us so much at the start that everything slowed down to an absolute halt because they ran out of stuff to give us. So I hope they have a reserve of stuff when they come back. That's how I would set it up. Get almost like a full year in front of you done, and then slowly roll it out as you work on the next year after that, and then you never get behind on your game. That's just how I think a free-to-play game like almost has to be. So we'll see what happens when it comes back. Again, I'm only hoping for like 2 or 3 new characters and some stuff. I know they probably want the hype of the game coming back and stuff, and it is a little weird because of the way MultiVersus is. It felt like an unfinished game we got. Obviously, it was open beta. It was an unfinished game, so it's not like Smash where you get a 60+ character roster and then the DLC starts. This game was like, here's 15 characters and DLC is basically finishing the game. Here's only like a couple stages, but we're going to finish the game over time. So for it to come to a halt was, really detrimental. JG gave a $4.99 donation. Thank you so much. They said, Spider-Man would have been my dream 4th party for Smash based on a video you made once. It would be so crazy to have Marvel versus DC in a game. Yeah, supposedly Sony wanted to add Spider-Man. I don't know if Sony reached out to Player First Games or if Player First Games had pitched the idea of MultiVersus to Sony and that just, communication stayed after that or what. But Sony apparently wanted to do Spider-Man for MultiVersus, and it was actually WB who said no. I don't know exactly why that negotiation didn't work out. I can speculate that maybe WB sees how Sony is about Spider-Man working with the Disney Marvel stuff, like the MCU stuff, and it's just they think, it's too messy. Maybe Sony wanted Spider-Man to be PlayStation exclusive, and WB didn't want anything MultiVersus to be exclusive. No idea. Maybe WB thought Spider-Man would overshine or outshadow. Is it? Outshine and overshadow the DC characters like Batman. I have no idea. But apparently WB was the one who said no. Sony was the ones who were trying to do it. Crazy. Someone's asked, did I see the fake Disney fighting game leaks? Yeah, and I also kind of think they're probably fake. I could be wrong about that. It would be cool if Disney made a platform fighter. But yeah, I think the only reason why that one's getting talked about is because Hungrybox made a video. And no offense to Hungrybox, I have nothing against the guy. But I don't think him making a video on something means that it's real or gives it any more credibility than anything else. And I think that's really the only reason why people are looking at that more than someone used AI to generate some neat looking images. Like, I don't think that one's I don't know. I don't think there's much to it. I'd love to be wrong about that though. This is one of those instances where if I was wrong and Disney is making a platform fighter, that'd be awesome. But I don't think it's real. Someone asks, is Disney perhaps open to the inclusion of a character in the game? Potentially. I know nothing. The only thing I know about Disney is that Player First Games did pitch the idea of MultiVersus to Disney, and Disney declined. Player First Games, the person that does the artwork for the lead art designer, I don't know what their exact position was. The art designer for Disney Infinity did work on MultiVersus. So with that connection, I could see why they probably pitched the game to Disney. Potentially they pitched the game to Disney first. I don't know. And some of that early Datamine stuff, like I think was there Hulk and Marvel stuff like in the Datamines early on, like some weird assets for stuff like that, was probably due to the pitch to Disney. Someone said, what happened to the Space Jam music? I don't know. Did something happen to Space Jam music? I heard nothing about that. If it changed, I don't know. Someone said, what is the deal with Optimus Prime and Terminator? So specifically what I was told was that Player First Games noticed that they were on a fan poll. I don't know which fan poll. They noticed them on a fan poll and at least made note of it. That was also the case for someone else that I'm drawing a blank on now. I'm looking through here. I forget. I said it earlier. Somebody else was also it might have been Jones. Let me check my notes. It's pretty minor, but it's basically like who the heck was it? Somebody they noticed was on a fan poll as well and thought it was cool. I don't remember. I said it earlier. Sorry, I've been talking a lot and I don't remember everything. But yeah, Terminator and Optimus Prime were both characters that Player First Games saw on a fan poll and said, "Oh, that would be neat. Like maybe they hadn't thought about that, or that's a good idea." Like no idea if it'll ever go any further than that. But I just know the name was mentioned. Someone said, "I thought 11 had voice lines in the game. Why are they in limbo now?" I don't think they had voice lines. I think what it was, there was a line from Raven that suggested that 11 was in the game, and then there was a model. But someone said earlier in the chat, and I don't know if it's true or not, that the model was fake. I don't know. What I was told was that they had pitched the game to Netflix at one time, and that's probably why any 11 stuff is in the game, because they probably just showed some initial whatevers to Netflix. But Raven does have some line about like crushing a soda can, which 11 does with her mind. So I don't know exactly what was going on with that. What I was told was it was pitched to Netflix, and that's the only reason why 11 stuff is there. Someone said originally in the Datamine it was the main theme from the movie, but they really obviously removed it when the stage released. Yeah, probably some negotiation thing. I don't know specifically about that, but yeah, it was probably just something they couldn't get the rights to for whatever reason. Music rights can be weird like that. It can be like a single person that is an instrumentalist and they own the guitar riff that's recorded here and you can't use it unless they say so, and they said no idea. Someone said Neo ? There's that Matrix thing in the Datamine, but I heard nothing nothing specifically for Matrix. Let me just go back to my notes here because I feel like I said something. Oh, that was it. Neo was the other character that yeah, okay, so Terminator and Optimus Prime were characters that were noticed in a fan poll and by the devs, and they thought that it was pretty cool. They made like a note of that would be pretty cool or whatever. Neo was one of the other characters. That was the other character in the fan poll that I know the devs made like a note of or highlighted as like, that's a cool idea. This character did pretty good on fan poll. But we also have something from the Matrix in the data mines. There's like a the green numbers thing is some sort of asset in data mines for the game. So can I say who's finished and ready to release? I don't know. I mean, I can tell you the order that I was hearing was Joker was supposed to be next, and then they were going to do a female rep. Initially, it was going to be Marceline, but then WB was wanting Harry Potter characters, so it was maybe going to be Hermione. Tony wanted Samurai Jack pushed forward, but I had also heard he might not happen till like season 3, season 4. Tony also wanted Powerpuff Girls moved forward, but was being told that they might take like a full year before they could finish them. That was it. That was pretty much what I was being told. And Echo Fighters, they're trying to get Echoes out quicker because they were being slow with individual characters. So it was going to be like Pickle Rick and Joker. I don't know which one which. So at this point, though, now they're taking a year off. It's like anything can happen. They can, like Joker, they could hold off on. They could finish him and then just hold off on him for a few months. Or, a character that was going to take a year like Powerpuff Girls, they could just release at launch now. So it is totally up in the air. And some random Datamine characters, we get Static before Joker now. Who knows? We get Raven before Joker. It is up in the air. I would assume, the characters that I've been hearing being worked on and stuff would still kind of be within the next few characters at relaunch, but I don't know. Who knows what's going to happen? It is a year out. You could, just think about what can happen for a game in that much time. How many games have large DLC made for them that is done in the span that we're looking at from now until potentially the same time next year? Is the suggested tab include Tony? Because I recall Tony mentioning characters like Sonic and Goku. No. So anything Tony said publicly or whatever, I didn't. That's not in all this. I mean, you can have that in your personal what characters MultiVersus devs have mentioned or whatever thing, but those things have been said publicly, so I didn't put them here. This was my own personal. What I was hearing from sources, I was making these images for myself so that I could just keep up with everything. And then I have a Word document that's really long of just all the stuff I've been saying to, again, just help me just know what's been said about which characters, which is, it's all over the place. So what changed with Harry Potter rights? Because before it seemed there were issues. Yeah, so what I had heard was that they had, when WB was asking them to add 3 Harry Potter characters for season 2, which I think this was being asked around the end of season 1, so probably like late October, early November. Player First Games had not negotiated with the Wizarding World, which is the rights owners to Harry Potter stuff. They hadn't negotiated yet, so I don't know how long negotiations take. I can guess they probably take a little while at least. So it was completely unfeasible of them to try to get Harry Potter characters out for season 2. That was never going to happen. I assume WB wanted it to happen for season 2 probably because of Hogwarts Legacy, but now that Hogwarts Legacy sold well and they're doing some Harry Potter HBO series just got announced today, I have a feeling they'll still probably go through with Harry Potter characters in MultiVersus. However you feel about that, with the J.K. Rowling controversy stuff and whatnot, obviously, I think a lot of people out there just have very mixed feelings about Harry Potter these days. A lot of people, I think, like the series and have mixed feelings about the creator and blah, blah, blah. We don't have to get into that big, long discussion here. But I think WB as a company probably has seen with Hogwarts Legacy that Harry Potter still makes money. So they're, again, today they announced the HBO show happening. So I could see WB still being like, yeah, put Harry Potter characters MultiVersus, and, we'll see what happens. And if you are someone who, was into, boycotting Hogwarts Legacy or whatever, I would definitely at least be aware whether or not that would make you boycott MultiVersus or something like that if Harry Potter stuff did get in. At least be aware that Player First Games is probably pretty beholden to whatever WB wants to certain extents. WB is writing the checks, WB is funding the game. They could probably only make so much of a stand however their personal feelings are. I guess all I'm saying is if you want to boycott MultiVersus if Harry Potter stuff gets in, by all means, do what you want to do. But I wouldn't be mad at Player First Games or act like, why'd you guys do this? It's probably it would probably be WB asking for it. I know for a fact, so far anyway, that the reason it was, that it's even being discussed right now by me here is because WB was the one asking to put Harry Potter stuff in the game, not Player First Games. So there you go. That's just my 2 cents on that side of that matter. My wish list for MultiVersus? Oh, I don't know. I'd have to really think about it. Someone said Powerpuff Girls were late. They were late today. Yeah. They were late today. Datamine. I mean, I knew about them. They were one of the Cartoon Network characters. I said I had heard a few more Cartoon Network characters being worked on, but they were in the Datamines today, which is probably the last Datamine we'll get because it's the last update before the game. Now you can't download the game but it's going to still be playable online until June 25th, and Season 2 sits until June 25th. I think it's June 25th. And then the game goes completely offline until next year. Someone said, do I know how the devs are doing right now? I do know some, like, specific stuff. I don't really want to get into that, though. It just seems more personal and off base and stuff like that. I like it has been kind of quiet the last month or so. I was not aware that the game was going to shut down, that I didn't know about, so I haven't heard too much in the last, again, like month or so. But I feel like I feel like everything became, kind of locked down a bit, and now they've decided to do this hiatus. So exactly how the devs are doing right at this moment, I don't know. I know a few little things here and there, but I don't think it's my place to say how the devs are feeling about things or whatever. I would think, this is just speculation. I would think they're probably at least happy to have the game go off, shut down, buckle down and work on it, get it as finished as possible. Obviously, with all this stuff that I'm talking about, there's probably more stuff I don't know about. Every time I see the devs posting, they say, like, we're really excited about what we're cooking up and stuff. So I have a feeling they're probably pretty excited about relaunching next year. Hopefully it goes well. So I think they're probably happy to not have to be under the gun of, we need to get a battle pass done, we need to get all this stuff done right away, and hearing people, when's the character coming out, and they're, trying to get stuff done, but clearly it's a tough juggling act. Probably happy to go offline for a bit, and then probably really excited to bring things back, but it's just me speculating, like anyone else could do. So what's the deal with Popeye? Nothing. Where did the Popeye stuff come from? I know Popeye Twitter, I think, said something about, like, what's this MultiVersus thing? But I think that was totally Popeye Twitter just saying stuff on it. I have heard nothing about Popeye. Would be cool, but I've heard nothing about Popeye. People are laughing about Spider-Man and SpongeBob and stuff. I'm like, yeah, there's some weird stuff here. I totally understand. I explained it all earlier. I'm not gonna re-explain those ones. I've probably explained them like 3 or 4 times at this point. But yeah, there's some weird stuff here. I'm very aware. But these are the things I've heard. Someone said, plus don't forget the devs are under NDAs by WB. Yeah, so obviously the devs can only say so much about everything. So could you say anything about the game leak you mentioned? Like which company? A good one. Nah, it's because it might not happen for a while. And I have a couple other leaks too that are more minor ones. So I'll just leave that to myself. But yeah, I mean, you guys have seen me say cool stuff before about some cool stuff. I mean, right before, what was it, the last Nintendo Direct, I was like, hey, Metroid Prime, it's going to be Shadow Drop tomorrow and then physical release in like a week. That's exactly what happened. So, I'm not always right, Game Awards Joker, but I try to filter what I say into things that seem like they're real or coming from real sources, or I've confirmed to definitely be real sources. And generally, even if things don't exactly go as I've said, it doesn't always mean the information's false. Like the Joker thing. The Joker information, all my multiverse information, I promise you it's real information. Whether or not what comes to pass in the end with the stuff, who knows? Someone asked about story mode. Single player content. Supposedly there's going to be a story mode. 1 second. Yeah, supposedly there's going to be a story mode, but I don't know any of the specifics of it. I know nothing about it. I don't know anything about what it's going to be like or anything like that. I do know that they had, like, the Nothing was part of the story on, like, their website. And like I said, there's a comic book that I know was being made that I saw a couple pictures of. So I feel like there is a story here that they want to tell with MultiVersus, but we're not ready to tell that story, or wasn't finished enough to tell the story. So, yeah. Flunk Ass. nice name. $4.99 donation. Thank you so much. They said Wiley Coyote, and Rigby on the list with eyes. Yeah, so because your donation, I feel like you probably missed out earlier when I was mentioning this. So Wiley Coyote is there next to Daffy because they were thinking about either adding Daffy or Wiley Coyote as a potential future Looney Tunes rep. This is on a big list that they have behind the scenes. It's like 60 characters long, more than 60 characters long list. I put 60 plus character list. And Daffy and Wily are characters on that list that they were thinking about choosing. That list is, I don't know if that list was given to them from WB and is characters WB is like, hey, you can use these characters if you want, or if Player First Games made the list as, you know, when they were first got the rights to WB stuff, they're like, let's just make a big list of all the characters we could potentially do, and we'll pull characters from that list. I do know some characters that are happening were not on that list. So Marceline is one of those characters that was not on that list that they decided to do. So it's totally possible characters not on that list can happen, and characters on the list can never come to be. But what I had heard was they were leaning more towards doing Daffy than Wile E. Coyote for at least the next Looney Tunes rep. It's possible they could do Daffy, and then right after that, the next Looney Tunes rep would be Wile E. Coyote. So I don't know, but those two were being considered. And then Rigby, very similar. It's like, is it Daffy? Is Wile? Which one should we do? Though, again, just to be totally clear, I also have not heard that they, you know, pulled the trigger on, yes, we're doing Daffy, or yes, we're doing Wile, or whatever. It was just, they were leaning more towards Daffy, but as far as I know, you know, not in the works yet. But similar to that situation is Mordecai and Rigby were also like, okay, let's put regular show in the game. Which character should we add? Either Mordecai or Rigby, which one? And I've heard they went with Mordecai. That doesn't mean Rigby can't still happen, though. Maybe they'll get Mordecai in and they'll do Rigby as the, you know, I assume he'd be the next regular show rep. I don't know how long it would take to get another one or whatever. But yeah, so Rigby, some of the characters that I put under that 60 plus character list area, they're like, I think it's really only Daffy, Wily, Animaniacs, and Ben 10 that I know for sure on that list. And then WB requested Aquafina, and WB requested Voldemort. WB requested Harry Potter characters, and the three that they had come down to were Harry Potter, Voldemort, and Hermione, and they decided Hermione was probably the best move. And then Rigby was, again, they were deciding between Mordecai and Rigby. So I put them in that area of the 60-plus character list on this little, whatever you want to call this, thing that I made here, way to group the characters. But technically only those first Daffy, Wily, Animaniacs, and Ben 10 I know for sure are on that list. The other names are either WB suggesting them or Player First Games had considered them. So it's basically a list of considered characters. Maybe I should rename that instead of 60 plus list characters, considered characters. I don't know. They all have their weird, you know, personal circumstances being on that spot. So they're just tough ones to. They're not really in limbo because it's not about like a negotiations thing. They're not leaked characters because I haven't heard that they're working on them. They haven't been data mined. But they're a bit more than suggested. They're a bit more than just a name that's been thrown around. But not quite, you know, leaked characters or data mined characters. Just names I know have potentially been considered as characters. And Echo Fighters, you can place that wherever you want. They wanted to do Echo Fighters, but the reason they wanted to do Echo Fighters was to tide us over between how long it was taking to get like the Joker. So when the game returns, I don't know if they'll still do Echo Fighters or if they'll be like, no, we don't need to do that anymore. So if those will become variants or what. Looks like they got a lot of work done on Pickle Rick, so I don't know. No idea how it's all gonna pan out in the end. Let's see. So do you think we could get any dual characters in one again, like Tom and Jerry? Yeah, potentially. Powerpuff Girls are 3-in-1, so there's that. But other 2-in-1s, I don't know. I feel like there's more 3-in-1s. Like these Powerpuff Girls, we're just looking at this. Powerpuff Girls, Ed, Edd n Eddy, and Animaniacs all feel like good 3-in-1 characters. Not as many like strong duos that like should really be duos. I guess you could say like Mac and Blue could maybe be a duo or something. There's definitely a few. Since Frank Welker voiced Scooby-Doo, you think that it is more likely for other characters he voiced to get into the game, like Megatron and Fred? Possibly. They definitely... So I think one of the things with the data mine characters, I don't know this for a fact, this is me just speculating. I think one of the things with some of the data mine characters was they probably got certain voice actors and actresses in, like, you know, the booth to record, and they were probably like, well, we might want them to come back for this character down the line, so why don't we make a bunch of lines for this character? They may have no intention of making that character a character immediately or anything like that, but we're just like, let's get these voices recorded while we have them, so it'll just be easier. We don't have to call them back 2 years from now to do it. So, you know, that's just me speculating, but I could see that. Just seems like that's just efficient. It's just an efficient way to do voice recording. Are more Hanna-Barbera reps in discussion? I'm looking on here. I don't think I heard any besides, Scooby being data mined, and I heard a little bit about. I heard that Scooby didn't have a moveset idea until I think it was around like October of last year, when Black Adam came out, somewhere around then, they were like coming up with ideas for a moveset for Scooby. But besides Scooby, I hadn't heard any. I'd be very shocked if like the 60 plus character list. I imagine it has stuff like Fred Flintstone on it. I don't know that, but huge Hanna-Barbera character. Their WB platform fighter game. I can't imagine they haven't thought of a character like Fred Flintstone. So yeah. Someone said I mentioned previously about Mordecai working with Rigby. Yeah, I mean, it was literally just player first games was I think they were deciding between Mordecai and Rigby. Maybe it was should we do Mordecai? Should we do Rigby? Should we do Mordecai and Rigby? I don't know, but supposedly, or not supposedly, from what I've heard, Mordecai has been the chosen character. If Rigby happens later, then Rigby happens later. But I haven't heard that. But Mordecai, there at least there's actual work being done on Mordecai. It's a kind of strange question. Were the Harry Potter characters affected by the roiling controversy? I've talked about this a few times already in this video, so I won't harp on it too long because it's obviously a touchy subject. But WB wanted them for season 2, and that was back. They were asking player first games to do that back in like October, November. So, considering that, I assume they were trying to cross promote Hogwarts Legacy. And after Hogwarts Legacy selling so well, it feels like WB's probably more okay with using Harry Potter stuff, especially because I think today they just announced there's like an HBO Harry Potter show that's going to happen. They're going to turn it into a TV show, so the movies and a TV show. So I feel like WB is more okay with using Harry Potter stuff, probably because Hogwarts Legacy sold so well, and they're probably like, controversy aside, it still sells, so we're still going to make stuff with it. That's just my guess on it. As far as anything to do with this or how player first games feels about Harry Potter characters, no idea on the controversy front for all that. I will just add that WB or the corporate people are the ones wanting Harry Potter stuff in the game. Player first games, don't get mad at any player first games person if Harry Potter stuff gets in the game and you are into the boycott stuff and all that stuff or whatever. Just don't be mad at player first games. They may be totally beholden to WB if it goes down that way. So it's not MultiVersus related at all, but how's my day going? Oh, it's going well. Yeah, it's a good day. It was super nice out today. Super nice weather. I want to see the Mario movie really soon. I think there's a midnight tonight, but I don't think I'm going to go. I don't think I have anyone to go with. Last night I was almost going to go to what I thought was the midnight, but my theater listed the midnight release as 12 a.m. Tuesday. So I was like, 12 a.m. Tuesday, that was last night at midnight. So I got all excited, and then when I talked to the theater, they were like, oh, no, we mean midnight on Tuesday, which would be 12 a.m. Wednesday. But they don't have it listed that way. You go to the Tuesday column and it says 12 a.m. So I thought it was going to be last night. Now it's tonight. I don't have anybody to go with tonight. So I gotta wait on the Mario movie. Other than that, I'm doing good though. Excited to see the Mario movie, and like I said, it was a nice day. Everything else is fine. So is there anything on Walking Dead characters making it to the game? I have heard nothing. I've heard nothing for Walking Dead. Nothing about any Walking Dead characters. If I had heard anything about any characters, they would be on up in here. Seeing Scorpion and Ted Lasso right next to each other still weirds me out. Yeah, I mean this obviously isn't all the characters in the game, and this isn't. A lot of these characters probably will not happen at all. But seeing what this game could look like, it's like bizarre. It is a bizarre mishmash of different potential characters. Someone said it's super nice weather out here in Connecticut. Yeah, I'm in Massachusetts, so I had the same weather you had. Do any of the leaked characters' moves involve any other characters like Finn with BMO? I'm not going to speak on character move set specifics. For one, it can change, and I don't want to get too. I just don't want to touch it. I don't want to get too specific about it. So that's about guild mode. Only thing I heard about guild mode was that it was supposed to come out with the Joker. That the original intention was for Joker and guild mode to come out at the same time. But obviously, again, they're taking a year-long hiatus and doing a total relaunch. So what happens at the relaunch and what gets promoted alongside what, I have no idea. No idea. Who's my personal most wanted random character? Angry Video Game Nerd. I think having him actually fight bugs in a video game would be awesome. And I just really like James Rolfe. I'm a big fan. I actually don't watch very many YouTubers, despite being a YouTuber. I really don't follow many or watch many, but I watched every Angry Video Game Nerd for years. I've fallen off in the past few years here, but up until at least like the movie and stuff, I watched everything religiously. I was big fan, and I still will occasionally watch some James Rolfe content for sure. Do I know what fan poll the devs are looking at to determine demand? I don't, but I do know of a good one. I don't have it on hand here, but if you message me on Twitter or Discord or something, I could probably pull it up and send it to you. There was, a fan poll that I found that seemed to line up well with a lot of the characters I heard and stuff I was hearing. So I think it's probably that fan poll. It was like a big PDF for online, maybe Google Docs thing or something, that had like the character, image of the character, image of their series, and then it listed them all, and it was like hundreds. It was like a really long list. That one seemed pretty close to what it sounded like the devs were discussing when discussing what fans like. So I think it's probably that poll, but I don't know for sure. That's the one I've been kind of looking at to be like, this is probably what Player First Games is, or an idea of what characters we might get. Is the reason Scorpion was in limbo due to WB and NetherRealms, or is it possible he or another Mortal Kombat character gets in? He's only in limbo because of NetherRealms wanted too much control over doing a Mortal Kombat character, so Player First Games decided not to do it. But again, that might have been like, we're making the first 20 characters for the game. Can we get one of the Mortal Kombat characters? And they're like, well, only if we get to decide all this stuff. And they're like, oh, we're still basically working on beginning our game, so no, we're not going to do that. We'll talk to you later. So, totally possible a Mortal Kombat character could happen at this point or something. But at some point, they went to NetherRealms, and NetherRealms wanted too much creative control, and so Player First Games backed out of a Mortal Kombat character. It doesn't have to be Scorpion. It could be anybody. I just think it'd probably be Scorpion. And I think it could still happen. I think that's, out of all the stuff in Limbo, like, that's a pretty good, that one feels like it might happen. Lord of the Rings, if they get the negotiations back, feels like it might happen. Godzilla, I never really heard Godzilla wasn't going to happen, just that they had that string in the data that said unused, just like Gandalf did, so threw him in limbo just because of that, but he could still happen. No idea what the negotiations for Master Chief look like, but they clearly wanted to add Master Chief, so could happen. Walter White, they've tweeted that they want Walter White, so that could happen. There's a good amount of those Limbo characters feel like, they could happen before a Datamine character happens or something. It's just a matter of circumstance. If they'll work on more OG original characters like Rain Dog, or they'll solely work on different IP characters. Given that they're kind of listening to the fans, my guess would be they probably won't add any more original characters, at least not anytime soon. Maybe if MultiVersus goes on for years and years, maybe they'll do it again. There's that whole thing that I mentioned earlier about how it's tough for them to keep up with battle passes and everything, because a lot of the franchises, they have to go through like a approval process from the rights owners, for each bit of, we made a new banner for this, okay, send it over to, like, I use Game of Thrones as an example, we got to send it over to George R.R. Martin's lawyers to approve it before we can stick it in the battle pass. And that just takes time. I don't know if that's for sure, specifically Game of Thrones, but just as an example, it's tough for them to get a lot, even when they get stuff done, it's tough to just get the rights and the go ahead, the okay to do stuff. So they might do original characters to work around that. The more original characters they have, the more they can work around that. But then, the less the game is a big crossover franchise thing. And I think they're well aware that the characters people want to see are the already existing characters crossing over. So we'll see what happens with that. But my guess would be they probably won't add more original characters, at least not for a long, long time. Someone said, does Goku stand a chance? I mean, they want to add anime. The only anime I've heard specifically is JoJo's. But obviously, Goku would fall into that, steal the Smash hype, because a lot of people want Goku for Smash, even though I think that's a terrible idea. Goku fits much better here. It'd be cool with Goku being here, especially because I watched Dragon Ball Z on Cartoon Network growing up, so he'd feel okay alongside this stuff, to me anyway. But yeah, I think he stands a chance, but no idea. Haven't heard, besides that they want anime. Someone said, I think I read somewhere that Tony who said they would add more original characters if the Phantom Man was there. Yeah, exactly. And I don't think the Phantom Man is there personally, but that's probably where it's at. Do I think that Sylvester and Tweety could be Echo fighters for Tom and Jerry? Maybe. I feel like they'd probably want to make them their own characters, though. From what we saw from the data mines of Pickle Rick, Pickle Rick seemed pretty different than regular Rick. So maybe Sylvester and Tweety would be different enough to be an Echo. I don't know. It's one of those like, yeah, they totally could be Echoes. It probably wouldn't even be that different from how you would probably design them anyway. Like you could probably still design them pretty close to Tom and Jerry. Whether they're labeled an Echo or not or whatever, it's one of those weird things. And Smash gets that way sometimes, where it's like Ken and Ryu. Ken's pretty darn different than Ryu, but other times you have like Peach and Daisy, and they're basically the same. So, you know, different Echoes might be different. And if Sylvester and Tweety are counted as their own character or counted as an Echo, I don't know. By the way, if WB does want some whale characters, Spider-Man could have dozens of incredibly popular skins. Yeah, the whole Spider-Verse. No, they just released a new trailer for Spider-Verse where they referenced Doctor Strange and No Way Home, and that was awesome. And I really liked the first Spider-Verse movie, so I'm excited about next Spider-Verse movie. Looks awesome. So that was cool. That was cool to get that today, or I think it was like last night, like really late at night. So. If we get Nicktoons in the game, the rest of the Ninja Turtles would be cool. Ninja Turtles have been in, other fighting games and stuff. They're pretty commonly crossed over into things, so I'd be cool with Ninja Turtles getting in MultiVersus. They fit alongside random cartoons, random movies, random whatever. Fit well. So how different are the Echo Fighters listed? So far, I think Pickle Rick was like, I don't remember what the number one, but it's like C022B instead of 22A or something like that. So the Echo Fighters seem to be listed as B in the C0 list, but I don't know much about data mining, or I never look at the code. That's not my forte. I just hear what other people have seen and talk about and stuff and go with that. I'm saying Shrek. I mean, look at some of the weird stuff we have here. We have SpongeBob and Spider-Man and with the Joker. It's like. Yeah, you could throw Shrek there. Someone's talking about Homer and Cartman, and yeah, I mean, the game just gets bigger and bigger and does add all this stuff. If next year if it returns and it really do start getting the big roster of characters, it's possible it can get pretty weird. Shrek could totally happen. Do skins of existing outfits from series they're based on need approval, or only original things like the holiday skins? I have no idea the specifics. It's probably different, mattering to different franchises, I would guess. Like, certain franchises might be really easy to work with, and other ones might be really hard. Like, it might be really easy to get Adventure Time stuff. Adventure Time and Cartoon Network might be simple to work with. Whereas, Scooby-Doo's probably easy to work with too, but maybe Scooby-Doo's hard to work with, and Adventure Time's easy to work with. I have no idea. But the fact of the matter is, at least some things they have to get approval from different companies. And probably when they make brand new stuff, they probably have to do it. I know some companies, I don't know which ones specifically off the top of my head, but some companies definitely, wanted things to be from, like, make sure it's something from the existing company. Like, this character, if they're in a costume, it's got to be a costume they've been in before or something. So, but I don't know. I don't know the specifics. Do I know what specific version of Ben 10 is being considered? I don't, because they're not really considering Ben 10. He's on that 60 character list, and he is exactly what Tony told everybody publicly. He's a character they'd love to add, but they want to do the character right, and he'd take a lot of development time, probably because he'd be some sort of transforming multi-alien character. And so they haven't, as far as I know, they're not working on him yet, or haven't put any serious thought into what he'd look like or what he'd be like. If they want to do Ben 10 totally right, he'd almost be like, his entire franchise is him. Like, he comes in the same way, like let's say down the road we have Finn, Jake, Marceline, Ice King, and Bubblegum all in the game, and it's been 2 or 3 years of MultiVersus. Ben 10 might come in with just as much work as the entire Adventure Time franchise 3 years into the game, just to have a bunch of aliens that he can transform into or whatever. So I totally understand why Ben 10 would be awesome to get in the game, but let's also keep in mind, getting a lame version of Ben 10 would kind of suck. So it would be cool if they take their time, and when we do finally get Ben 10, maybe in the background they can just slowly work on Ben 10 over years and years and years, and then he comes out and he's, you know, he plays awesome. He's like really cool. So I get it. I get what they're doing that. But yeah, so as far as I'm aware, he's just on their minds, but not being worked on. Which Looney Tunes rep would I want out of the ones that were considered? I have no idea. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like. I like Looney Tunes, but I don't know if I have like a favorite Looney Tunes character that I'd like pull off the top of my head. Someone said they wanted Peter Griffin. Yeah, I mean that's again SpongeBob, Homer Simpson, Cartman, Peter Griffin. Why not? Why not? So considering Ben 10 is one of the highest grossing franchises in history, you'd think they would prioritize him over the other ones. Yeah, I mean, I would assume he does have priority more than a lot of things. It's just that I think they're aware that they need to build their game before they can do Ben 10. I mean, if they're building Ben 10 and he's like 5 characters, that's 5 characters worth of work. Or if he's 10 characters, I mean, I'm cutting the aliens get turned into in half. Worth of work to do him justice, do him right. So if you put all that time into a character early on in your game's lifespan, it's like, you know, basically what we already kind of saw happen. Like characters weren't coming out. Like if they were working on Ben 10 from the start, nothing's coming out. Now that they're taking a whole year off, maybe they'll start work on Ben 10 during this year hiatus. Maybe they'll do Ben 10 and get like 2 aliens done, and then as the game's out, they'll try to get like 2 or 3 more done, and then, you know, whenever he comes out, it's like boom, there he is. He can transform. It's great. It's awesome. Whatever. But yeah, and that's just me. That's me assuming that the way he'll play is transforms into aliens. But whatever. From the sound of things, from what Tony has said publicly, you know, they want to do Ben 10 right when they do Ben 10. So yeah, we'll see. I do think he is at least, again, he's been talked about. They are aware of how cool it would be to get Ben 10. They're aware of how many people like him, how big the franchise is. So it's definitely something I think they want to add. But you know, there's some hurdles. There's some hurdles with it. How much inspiration are the devs taking, if any, for movesets from Cartoon Network Punch Time Explosion? I have not heard Cartoon Network's Punch Time Explosion mentioned at all within behind the scenes stuff for MultiVersus. I assume they probably, I'm you know, they must be aware that the game exists. They're probably somewhat aware of it and stuff like that. But if you're asking like Powerpuff Girls or Samurai Jack, who I know are in that game, if they're gonna play similarly or whatever, I think Powerpuff Girls are all separate characters in Punch Time Explosion though. No idea. Have you ever heard of Robot Jones? I have. Whoever heard of Robot Jones? Yeah, I remember that show. I was never big on it, but I do remember it. I liked around the same time or similar animation. I like Sheep in the Big City. Sheep in the Big City was pretty funny. Some say their most wanted pick is Willy Wonka. When Cartoon Network characters, I want Vilgax or Mojo Jojo. Oh yeah, Willy Wonka would be awesome. I like some weird, like I mentioned Angry Video Game there that I wanted, but Willy Wonka is another one I really like. Just the idea of getting them in the game is just neat. I never made a list of characters I want. Maybe before the reboot, the game is on hiatus. Maybe before it relaunches, maybe I'll come out with a video like a month or so before relaunch if we get the game, if we get it announced to us that the game's going to happen. You know, with that much of in between time, maybe I can finally make my these are the characters I really want to see. My most wanted. I have enough time to think up a most wanted list now. I mean, I've already had enough time to think up a most wanted list, but I've been slacking on it. The thing with the most wanted list is I can come up with like 20 characters I really want, and then I'll look through more like potential characters that someone else made another like fan poll or something, and I'll see a name and be like, oh man, I didn't even think of that, and I throw that on mine, and it's like, it's just really hard to come up with a list that isn't going to like miss a bunch of things that I would equally think is just as cool. Yeah, General Specific was funny in Sheep in the Big City. Crypto the Superdog. I've heard nothing about Crypto. The only stuff I've heard is this stuff, which actually it's very little DC stuff. I mean, there's the Datamine DC stuff, but I heard nothing about Static and Poison Ivy besides the person who writes the comics or draws the comics for Static deleting that tweet that made it seem like, you know, yes, they knew Static was coming, and of course Datamine, so you know he's considered for the game or whatever. or negotiated for the game, or in some way in part of the game. I heard nothing for Poison Ivy at all. And then Raven, I know what Raven's model looked like, but I heard she got pushed back, and they were going to maybe retool her to look more Teen Titans like. But now we're a whole year, waiting period anyway. So maybe Raven's one of those characters I could see launching with the game at this point. Even though before I would have said, yeah, we might have to wait till like end of the summer, fall before we even consider when she might come out. But at this point, anybody's possible. But besides that, I didn't hear like Flash, Green Lantern, something like that. I didn't hear anything. Robin, I heard nothing. Most wanted list stream one. Yeah, that was one thing I could do. I mean, I'm not going to do it. I'll probably do other streams at some point, just stream video games and stuff. But after this, I'm probably going to take a break from talking about MultiVersus stuff, unless something major comes up. If I ever talk about MultiVersus stuff or any MultiVersus League stuff, I'll probably just tweet about it. Probably won't make a video until we're way closer when the game comes back, because it just seems weird to make videos for the game. Again, unless something bizarrely major happens for it, like a big leak that happens in like September or something, like who knows. But otherwise, I'll probably just tweet about stuff, and I'll make content on. I want to make a Mario Kart roster video. I want to make something for Tears of the Kingdom probably before that comes out. Other stuff, and then maybe I'll stream games and do stuff like that. But I'm gonna take a break from MultiVersus streaming for now. But what I was thinking of doing was doing a MultiVersus, like looking at a big giant MultiVersus like fan poll and just going down the list and just talking about each character and pointing out the ones that I'd like to see, because that's easier than trying to think of them all. I'm gonna forget some if I don't have that list in front of me, but maybe I'll do that stream closer to when MultiVersus relaunches next year. Just for a fun way to do my most wanted list or whatever. But again, I'm probably not gonna do any MultiVersus videos for a while after this one. Will we see news throughout the year for what to expect for the full launch? Yeah, it's possible. They might give us little teases, or they might just totally bunker down and we don't hear about them at all until relaunch. We'll have to wait and see. The Mask or Austin Powers? I like the Mask more than Austin Powers, I think. Zanier moveset, but both would be cool. I like again, I said Willy Wonka would be cool. I like those zany out there characters. And some people said Clark Griswold I've seen suggested. There's a bunch of other ones, but it's like cool when you do those forgettable just movie characters. They're not really forgettable, but I don't think about them. And when I'm thinking about MultiVersus, I always think DC, Cartoon Network. Like that's where my mind goes. But there's so much other stuff. Do you think MultiVersus could actually get a physical release? It's possible. I think it's probably going to stay a free-to-play game and everything, but maybe if they get a big enough roster and stuff done for physical, maybe the physical would unlock every base roster character. Like you don't have to buy the Founders Pack or whatever because you bought the game physically. So that's a bonus. You have all these characters unlocked, and then it's just the stuff coming in after that that you have to buy. That'd be cool. That'd be a cool way to do it. Maybe all the skins, all the stages, everything, everything's just unlocked. That'd be cool. Give a reason to buy the physical. Yeah, Mario Kart DLC predictions. I really want to do that. I've been slacking on it, but like I have a bunch of stuff saved. I have a lot I want to say about that. Yeah, Freakazoid. Oh man, Freakazoid would be cool. Ralphie from Christmas Story. Yeah, there's so many good characters that I hate to call them forgettable because they're not forgettable characters in existence, but they're forgettable characters when I'm thinking about who I want for MultiVersus. A lot of times, some of these really cool ones don't pop up, but they'd be sweet. Do I know anything about Marceline other than she's being worked on right now? I know nothing except that she was supposed to be she was their initial character they had chosen as, well, we need more female reps, so after we do Joker, we'll do Marceline. That was what I had heard. Then it was maybe Hermione will take that spot because WB wants Harry Potter stuff. Not necessarily that Marceline wouldn't happen, but that Hermione might have to happen so that they get Harry Potter out as soon as possible, but still get a female rep out. And then obviously things got very jumbled up. Then they were maybe going to do Echo Fighters, and then they're trying to push Samurai Jack forward, and they're trying to do it. Like, they're just juggling so much stuff at once. So taking a hiatus and taking a break and hopefully just getting a lot of stuff done for relaunch is definitely the right move. Hopefully they get a nice schedule and pace ready once they do relaunch, and things don't get so jumbled and messed up again. Because it can, a free-to-play game like this, it absolutely kills your game if the content isn't steady. It doesn't have to be all the time. Like I think that was one of the problems was at the beginning they were giving us characters really, really fast. One character a month is insanely fast for a fighting game. We were getting more than that. We were getting 2 or 3 characters a month right at the start. So, just I hope when it comes back they have battle passes and skins at the ready. They have events finished, so they don't have to scramble to make them as we're getting close to a holiday or something like that. I hope they have so much stuff done that if WB forces them to do a character like, oh, you got to get Black Adam done for the Black Adam movie, they can just, okay, we have like 5 characters already finished. We're just gonna put them on reserve. Buckle down, get this character done, put them out in time for whatever it's promoting, and then we'll just go back to our schedule or whatever. I just hope they get so much of a backlog done they don't fall behind again. Yeah. Am I aware of WB gaining rights back for the most part for Lord of the Rings? I was not aware of that. I know there was something about like NFTs were going to happen, and WB was. I knew they still have some rights or whatever, so hopefully that's good news. I mean, I do feel like MultiVersus will do Lord of the Rings stuff eventually. I pretty much, even when they lost the rights, at the beginning, I was like, well, they'll probably negotiate for them again. It's just a matter of legal stuff, and I get that. So hopefully it all comes back. How many characters do I expect at relaunch? I'm hoping it's not that many, to be honest. A lot of people, I think, want a bunch. I'm hoping only like 2 or 3. But I hope that behind the scenes, they have like 10 or 15 characters done and a couple battle passes done. And maybe it launches with 1 or 2 new stages, but they have another 5 stages done behind the scenes. And, a bunch of new modes, and they kind of fix up the online and just polish the game. But I don't really want them to just unleash a flood of stuff at the beginning and then, 4 months in, it's like, oh, the next season there's only 1 character this whole season because we ran out of characters, and now we're trying to catch up again. Like, get a backlog ready and release it steadily. Steady expectations, way more important than wowing everybody with a bunch of characters as quickly as possible. Way more important that if everybody knows MultiVersus gets 1 new character every month, people will stick with the game. If you wow people with 7 new characters as soon as it launches in the first 2 months, and then it goes down to 1 character after that, and then we have a month of no characters, people lose faith in the game. People go, I don't know what to expect with this game. I don't know if this game's still going to be here in a year, so they drop it. Like, faith, people. You gotta build up that confidence, and that faith is more important than, again, wowing us with just a dump load of content. Just reading comments here. Recently, Embracer signed a contract to allow WB to have film rights for a long time. Again, WB wants to apparently make Lord of the Rings a franchise as big as Star Wars, which means Gandalf. Yeah. I mean, that's all awesome news. So I really hope if MultiVersus launches again and it has again, I think 2 or 3 would be best and have a lot of characters on reserve so they never fall behind. But if it's 5 characters or so, if it's like Joker, Marceline, Gandalf, Powerpuff Girls, Samurai Jack, or something at launch. Maybe Raven too. 5, 6 characters, something like that. That'd be huge, and then have a bunch of characters done though, waiting as well. So see what they get done. Someone said, "Wait, Mordecai got leaked." Yeah, right here, right now. I had heard Mordecai as one of my other Cartoon Network characters. And Powerpuff Girls got leaked earlier from data mines on Twitter. From Rawl or Lucia or A Soul, whatever. They switch their name around all the time because they keep getting taken down by Twitter. All right. Well, I have been talking for quite a few hours now. I think it's been like a 3-hour-long stream. Rawl with the crying face. You still here? Yes. We all feel bad. But luckily, good news with the hiatus. Most likely, your Twitter accounts probably won't get taken down for at least like a year. yeah. Mordecai's leaked in this stream. That's yeah. I'm saying that right now. That's what I heard. So there's one more Cartoon Network character, but I'm not saying who it is. If the person whose leak that is wants to leak them, I will then come out and say yes, that was who the character was. Though if I do that, probably won't be a video because I'm probably going to lay off MultiVersus videos until way closer to the relaunch because it just seems, I don't know, just seems weird to make content for MultiVersus. I'll make other content for this channel, but it'll be other games and stuff. Yeah, so. Okay, I think that's probably everything. It's been like I said, over 3-hour-long stream. I just said I'm probably not going to do MultiVersus content till closer to the relaunch, so at least nearly a year from now, unless some big leak or something happens, like if there's some big behind the scenes or video leak or something or image leak in like September. It's like, okay, I'm gonna come back and make a MultiVersus leak. But if nothing like that happens for a while, then I'll probably just wait until the relaunch to really do MultiVersus stuff. I'll probably talk about it in Discord, talk about it on Twitter. Potentially if something leaks or I have a little bit more to say or people ask me questions, I'll do it there. But this channel will move on to, I want to do a Mario Kart roster speculation video. Tears of the Kingdom I'll probably do a video on before it comes out at some point. And then I'll probably stream games and anything else that happens, Nintendo Directs, random other leaks and stuff, random other games with content. If Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2 is a real leak, if that Disney game is a real leak, obviously I'll cover any other platform fighter crossover franchise stuff. That's fun to speculate on rosters and do all that stuff or whatever. But yeah, someone said a summary video would be pretty rad. Yeah, maybe I will make... We have the images right here, so feel free. I can share the images in a clean version of the images easily. But maybe I will make a slightly edited down version of my notes that I have, and you'll have these two images and then my notes, which are well organized and go over everything. There's just a few things in the notes I don't really want to make public, so I just have to kind of re-go over them to make sure nothing in there is something that shouldn't be public. But if those notes were out plus these images, that would be a full summary of this video easily. So yeah, may do that. Okay, all right. Well, I think I'm gonna stop stream now because I've been sitting for a long time and I'm tired and I'm hungry and blah blah blah. But thanks for watching, guys. And again, feel free to talk to me on Discord or Twitter about MultiVersus stuff. Otherwise, we'll be back to MultiVersus content in about a year. So see you guys later. Thanks for watching. For those who donated, thank you so much. And hope this was fun. I hope this was exciting. I hope this gives you a little bit of an idea of who to expect. But we're also a year away, and anything could change. So a character I don't even have on here could be being worked on right now, and a character that isn't on here or talked about at all could totally be someone they decide to work on 3 months from now and ends up in the launch of the game. Like, it is so up in the air. So yeah, anything can happen. All right, later, guys. Thanks for watching.